Chapter 925. I miss you, do you know? Qin Sheng was not a heartless scumbag. He just buried the pain deep in his heart and endured it silently. He would not let the outside world guess his feelings. Moreover, after he had made his choice, he had to move forward without hesitation and act as if nothing had happened. He knew what others would think of him, including his relatives. But he would not care about what they said because he knew what he was doing. Qin Sheng believed that there must be someone in the Song family who knew about the relationship between him and Lin Su. If he was not resolute enough this time, how would the Song family think of him? How would they agree to marry Song Ruyu? After all, the Song family was opposed to it. If he was overcautious and hesitant, someone in the Song family would definitely stand up and oppose it. At that time, the loss would outweigh the gain. Secondly, Song Ruyu must have known about it, but she did not mention it. But it did not mean that she had no opinion. Because she was a smart woman, she knew what would happen if she mentioned it. Song Ruyu did not care about the past and only cared about the future. In that case, Qin Sheng's attitude was the most important. Therefore, Qin Sheng did this. Although Qin Sheng had broken up with Lin Su, he did not remove the people who had been protecting her. They were all arranged by Bao Fan. If Qin Sheng wanted to know, he could totally know Lin Su's recent situation. Before he left, he even told Bao Fan to protect Lin Su's safety and make sure that she would not have any accidents, let alone let anyone bully her. Unless something like this happened and Qin Sheng might intervene, Qin Sheng did not want to know about other things. Because even if he knew, so what? Since the day Qin Sheng left, Lin Su felt that her world had collapsed. Qin Sheng's departure also took her soul with him. She knew what Qin Sheng was going through. All the pressure and responsibility were about to crush him. Every time she saw it, she felt sorry because Qin Sheng was really tired. So Lin Su did not blame Qin Sheng. She really did not blame him. She only felt a little regretful, really regretful. She had thought that they would be able to walk to the end and that they could live peacefully for the rest of their lives. She had imagined the scene of them getting married and even secretly tried on wedding dresses with her best friends. Her best friends all said that she looked really beautiful in the wedding dress. She secretly took a photo and wanted to send it to Qin Sheng. But in the end, she held back because she wanted to save the most beautiful moment for last and give Qin Sheng a big surprise. She had even planned where they would go for their honeymoon. She wanted to go to Palau or Tahiti. However, if Qin Sheng had a place he wanted to go, she could give up and accompany him to the place he wanted to go. This was because when she liked a man, all her habits, principles, and everything else could be changed for this man. This was her. She could not like someone for the rest of her life, but once she liked someone, it would be for life. But she knew that Qin Sheng would definitely give up first, because Qin Sheng would go along with her in everything. Every time she thought of this, Lin Su would secretly laugh. It seemed that every time they had a disagreement during dinner, Qin Sheng would also go along with her. Lin Su had also thought that if they had children one day, she could totally give up all her career and go back home to take care of her husband and children. She wanted to be a good wife and a loving mother, a daughter-in-law who could cook well. Anyway, their family was not short of money. She must take good care of Qin Sheng and their children because she knew that Qin Sheng might be very busy. Therefore, when she found out that she was pregnant that day, Lin Su was really very happy. She wanted to tell Qin Sheng this good news immediately and tell him that he was going to be a father. She believed that Qin Sheng would also be very happy. However, she was a little hesitant because she knew that this child might not come at the right time because the Qin family was really too difficult during this period. If Qin Sheng knew about it, he would definitely be worried about her. She did not want to distract him, so she secretly thought about aborting the child. But in the end, this idea flashed through her mind because this was the crystallization of their love. She really could not bear to give it up, and she knew that Qin Sheng would definitely not. Therefore, she wanted to wait for a period of time to tell Qin Sheng. When there was some change in the Qin family, or when the Qin family's affairs were completely over, or when Qin Sheng was not so busy, then she would tell Qin Sheng. She was already looking forward to Qin Sheng's reaction at that moment. What a pity! What a pity! Unfortunately, there is no need for it now. Unfortunately, it would never happen again. However, Lin Su had already decided that she would secretly give birth to this child. She would raise the child alone. She would not tell Qin Sheng, nor would she use the child to threaten him, etc. She just wanted to keep this child. When the Lin family's affairs were almost done, when her belly was too big to hide, she would go to the United States to raise the child in peace. Why? Because Lin Su knew that she would never meet someone like Qin Sheng again. She would never like anyone else again. These 2 days, Lin Su was very, very tired. If it were not for the fact that she was really too busy with the company's affairs, Lin Su would just stay by herself quietly. She did not want others to find out what was wrong with her. She really needed time to ease these feelings. She was afraid that she could not take it anymore. She was afraid that she would completely collapse. However, the company's affairs were too busy. Lin Su could only carry her exhausted body to work. As a result, there were a few times when she was in meetings or chatting with clients. Everyone also found out that her spirit was really too low. They even thought that she was really sick. At the same time, Lin Su had to tell herself that even if it was only for the child, she had to be strong. She had to be strong. Xue Qingyan came over today. As she happened to be working nearby and was closer to Lin Su's company, she came over. After all, she had promised Qin Sheng that she would take care of Lin Su. She was also worried about Lin Su being alone. Most importantly, she knew that Lin Su was pregnant. It was because she was the one who accompanied Lin Su to the hospital that day. However, Lin Su had reminded her not to tell Qin Sheng first. She would tell him later. Xue Qingyan did not greet Lin Su. She and Lin Su became closer later on and often came to Lin Su's company. She was already familiar with the way. She went directly to the company. Even a front desk did not stop her and let her go directly. However, when she was at the door of Lin Su's office, Lin Su's secretary suddenly stopped Xue Qingyan and whispered, "Sister Xue, Boss Lin has been a little off these days. I don't know what happened. Do you know?" Xue Qingyan was very surprised and said, "What's wrong? Is she sick or?" "We don't know. She looks like she's out of her mind. She is often in a daze, and her expression is very bad. We asked her to rest, but she did not rest. We asked her to go to the hospital for a checkup, but she did not go. You should hurry and persuade her," the secretary explained with a frown. After hearing this, Xue Qingyan frowned slightly. She nodded and went into the office. In the office, Lin Su sat on the sofa and looked at the scenery outside the window. She was in a daze. No one knew what she was thinking about. She did not even know that Xue Qingyan had come in. After Xue Qingyan came closer, she found that Lin Su was indeed a little off. After observing for a long time, she asked, "Su, what are you thinking about?" Lin Su heard the voice coming from behind and was shocked. Then she came back to her senses and found that it was Xue Qingyan. She smiled subconsciously and said, "Sister Qingyan, why are you here?" Xue Qingyan explained casually, "I'm doing something nearby. I just finished my work and got bored, so I came to see you. I haven't seen you for a few days. How are you?" After that, Xue Qingyan raised the things in her hands and said, "These are the tonics I bought for you. You are not alone now. Take care of yourself." Xue Qingyan was the first to know about this. It was estimated that she was the only one who knew about it. Last time when she went to Beijing, she almost spilled the beans. Fortunately, she held it back in the end. Otherwise, Lin Su would definitely blame her. To be honest, when Xue Qingyan knew about it, she was happy and envious. Because Qin Sheng was Lin Su's real girlfriend, she was naturally happy. However, her ambiguous relationship with Qin Sheng made her envious of Lin Su. Because she liked Qin Sheng silently, she also believed that Qin Sheng knew about it. "Sister Qingyan, thank you." Lin Su chuckled. After Xue Qingyan sat down, she asked, "I heard from your secretary that you are not in a good state recently. You look a little pale. What's going on?" "Nothing. Maybe I'm a little tired recently." Lin Su smiled bitterly. She did not want to tell anyone about her breakup with Qin Sheng, let alone Xue Qingyan. Because if Xue Qingyan knew about it, she would definitely look for Qin Sheng. At that time, Qin Sheng would also know that she was pregnant. Then there would be more trouble. She did not want Qin Sheng to worry, nor did she want Qin Sheng to be in a dilemma. She did not want to drag Qin Sheng down. Shui Qingyan did not believe it. Really? Did you quarrel with Qin Sheng? If so, tell me. I'll teach him a lesson. Sister, really? I'm just a little tired, Lin Su replied quickly. Shui Qingyan felt that something was wrong. She said, Then what's wrong with you? Could it be that you are sick? If you are really sick, you must go to the hospital for a checkup. You have to know that you are pregnant now. You have to be more careful. Sister, I know. Lin Su was touched. Shui Qingyan added, If you are tired, you need a rest. Don't work so hard. Think about your child. Okay. Sister, I'll get off work now. Lin Su did not know whether to laugh or cry. After making sure that Lin Su was fine, Shui Qingyan was slightly relieved. Then she asked, Are you not going to tell him yet? How long do you want to hide it from him? Lin Su lowered her head and shook her head. Let's wait for a while. Don't worry. Wait until he's not so busy. Otherwise, he'll go back and forth again. Okay, since you said so, I won't say anything more. It seems that you have to go for a checkup in 2 days. I'll go with you then. Shui Qingyan thought of this and said. Lin Su refused politely. Sister, it's okay. I can go by myself. No, I have to go with you. I promised Qin Sheng that I would take good care of you. I can't rest assured if you are alone, Shui Qingyan said firmly. Lin Su had no choice but to agree. They continued to chat until Shui Qingyan felt that Lin Su was really a little tired. She was about to drag Lin Su to eat. However, Lin Su said that she was really too tired and wanted to go home to rest. Shui Qingyan did not insist and left first. After Shui Qingyan left, Lin Su stood in front of the French window again. She touched her belly and looked out of the window at the lights. Finally, she silently shed tears. Because she knew that no matter how big and lively the city was, no matter how brightly lit the tens of thousands of houses were, not a single light was lit for her, and no one was waiting for her to come home. Qin Sheng, I miss you. Do you know that? Chapter 926. Hello, brother-in-law in Song Ruyu's parents' house in Beijing. Qin Sheng had been worried about the Hongmen banquet, but it ended peacefully. Compared with the chaos when he went to the Lin family, Qin Sheng's visit to the Song family was quite smooth this time. Song Ruyu's mother was very enthusiastic to her, especially after Qin Sheng had finished cooking. Her future mother-in-law was very satisfied with Qin Sheng. They even exchanged a lot of cooking experiences. Qin Sheng knew how to hide his shortcomings and deliberately asked for advice. Song Ruyu's mother was also happy to tell Qin Sheng what she really knew. Laughter and laughter came from the kitchen. Even Song Ryu was driven out. When Song Ryu was chatting with her father outside, the eldest son of the Song family muttered, I can see that your mother likes Qin Sheng very much. Maybe she's afraid that I can't get married. She will like anyone who comes to her, Song Ryu said half-jokingly. The eldest son of the Song family explained casually, when Qin Sheng was young, your mother liked him very much. At that time, she wanted to adopt him as her son, but the Qin family didn't agree. Besides, your mother had a good relationship with Qin Sheng's mother. Maybe it was because of these reasons that your mother was so satisfied with Qin Sheng. After all, your mother doesn't think about other things. Song Ryu naturally knew what her father meant. She nodded slightly and said, maybe. Putting aside the current situation of the Qin family, the eldest son of the Song family was also quite satisfied with Qin Sheng. The two families had been friends for generations, and their families were well matched. Who would want to marry Qin Sheng? However, now the eldest son of the Song family didn't think about those things. He could see that his daughter also liked Qin Sheng. In this case, he didn't care about it anymore. As for the other possible impact of their marriage, the eldest son of the Song family had already guessed. What the outside world said was their business. They couldn't and didn't want to care about it. As long as the Song family didn't get involved in the affairs of the Qin family, he believed that the old master wouldn't make a mistake. In the future, even if the Qin family really declined, it would be much better than an ordinary middle-class family. Naturally, his daughter would not suffer. Moreover, Qin Sheng had the Zhu family behind him. No matter how he struggled, he would not be bad. Even if he had to live an ordinary life, it was actually not a big deal. As long as his daughter was willing to live a happy life, it would be fine. At dinner, the eldest son of the Song family's attitude changed slightly. He was not as arrogant as he had been at the beginning. He took the initiative to open a bottle of Maodai and drank half a bottle with Qin Sheng. They talked about the past years, but tacitly didn't mention the troubles of the Qin family. Song and his mother basically didn't interrupt. They just put food for the two men. After dinner, Qin Sheng took a short break and left. Today's unexpected smoothness made Qin Sheng a little uncomfortable. Originally, he had thought of all kinds of tit-for-tat confrontations, but in the end, it ended so peacefully. Song Ruyu saw Qin Sheng off. After he left, the couple sat on the sofa and chatted. The eldest son of the Song family joked, "It seems that you are satisfied with your son-in-law." As if you're not satisfied. Don't think that I don't know why the other members of the Song family don't agree. They are afraid that the Song family will eventually get involved in the affairs of the Qin family. Song Ruyu's mother muttered. The eldest son of the Song family was a little embarrassed. This was the common problem of most families in Siju City. It was also the idea of many rich and powerful families. That was, nothing could compare to family interests, let alone this kind of marriage. The eldest son of the Song family said helplessly, "Well, it's not like that. They're just doing it for Ryu's sake. I'm not a 3-year-old child. Do you think I believe you? But I think you're worrying too much." Even the old master agreed to it. Hasn't he thought about this? Song Ryu's mother said rationally. The eldest son of the Song family felt that it was quite reasonable. Since the old master and Ryu both agreed, didn't they think about the possible chain reaction of this matter? Honey, you understand. The eldest son of the Song family laughed. Song Ryu's mother stared at her husband and went to the kitchen to clean up. On the tree-lined path in the community, Song Ryu and Qin Sheng walked at a moderate pace. She deliberately asked, "Are you afraid now? When have I ever been afraid?" Qin Sheng replied impatiently. Song Ryu couldn't help but laugh. She knew that Qin Sheng also wanted to save face, so she didn't expose him. Unconsciously, they had become friends. She felt it was a little strange, but at the same time, she didn't feel uncomfortable. It was difficult for Song Ryu to understand. My small aunt will arrive in Beijing tomorrow. My small aunt and big aunt will be responsible for the following affairs. Do you know who to turn to? Qin Sheng asked casually. He couldn't directly turn to the old master or Song Ryu, which was also unreasonable. Song Ryu frowned and said, "It should be my father and my big uncle. But my big uncle seems to be against it. I have to talk to him later. Wait for my call." Judging from the current situation, Qin Sheng's uncle and small aunt had no problems. Big aunt couldn't wait anymore. They could only wait for the news from the Song family. Song Ryu walked Qin Sheng to the gate of the community. She didn't go back until Qin Sheng got in the car and left. After being questioned by her parents, she said that she was a little tired and went back to her room to rest. She didn't plan to go back to her home tonight. Along the way, Qin Sheng, who was a little tipsy after drinking some wine, closed his eyes to rest. His aunt and sister had already called him a few times, probably asking about tonight's stressful situation. Perhaps they were more worried about him. However, Qin Sheng did not answer them. He was a little tired, but more so mentally. He had thought that he could live the life he wanted in this life, and he tried his best to live like that. In the end, he found that everything was in vain. No one could be independent in the torrent of society. Everyone was just a small speck of dust. When they were about to enter the community, Chang Baji suddenly stepped on the brake, which surprised Qin Sheng. Chang Baji thought that the car was relatively stable, which rarely happened. Qin Sheng didn't expect this to happen so suddenly. He came back to his senses and asked, "What's going on?" Chang Baji stared at the man who suddenly appeared and blocked their way. At the same time, he was alert of the surrounding environment. He turned around and said to Qin Sheng, "Something happened. I'll go down and have a look." After saying this, Chang Baji immediately got out of the car. The others also got out. They quickly controlled the surrounding environment to prevent other accidents. Chang Baji walked to the man unhurriedly. He didn't believe that anyone would dare to fight here. When he got closer, he recognized who the man was. It turned out to be the son of the Song family. "Young Master Song, what are you doing?" Chang Baji frowned and asked. He had met Song Hushing a few times, so he was a little surprised that Song Hushing suddenly blocked their way. Song Hushing could ask Qin Ran to meet and talk, but he was not so polite to Qin Sheng. After hearing that Qin Sheng went to second uncle's house today, he directly drove over to stop Qin Sheng. He had to make Qin Sheng give up, and he had to solve the problem in the shortest time. Otherwise, if this dragged on, success would come naturally. At that time, no one would be able to reverse the situation. If he wanted to change the ending, it would be even more difficult. The young master of the Qin family is so ostentatious. I'm not even qualified to ask him to get out of the car. Song Hushing sneered. Chong Baji knew that he was not qualified to talk to Song Hushing, so he immediately left after saying that he would wait for a while. He opened the car door and said to Qin Sheng, "It's Song Hushing." Hearing Song Hushing's name, Qin Sheng's expression changed slightly. It seemed that he was not surprised. Such a big thing. If the young master of the Song family did not look for him, it would be surprising. After all, he had abducted the young master of the Song family's younger sister. Moreover, the young master of the Song family did not have a good impression of him, which made him feel that the young master of the Song family was a sister maniac. However, this time, even if Song Hushing came forward, Qin Sheng would not be afraid. He knew that when dealing with the young master of the Song family, he must not lower his head. Otherwise, Song Hushing would only look down on him because he represented the Qin family. Qin Sheng slowly got out of the car and walked to the front of Song Hushing, indicating that the others could leave, leaving only him and Song Hushing. Then Qin Sheng looked at Song Hushing and said, "Hello, brother-in-law." Song Hushing had originally wanted to have a good chat with Qin Sheng. He did not expect that Qin Sheng would say such a thing the moment they met. Song Hushing was instantly enraged. This was a naked provocation, an ugly face of a villain intoxicated by success. "Qin Sheng, you are courting death." Song Hushing almost gnashed his teeth and said. His eyes were full of murderous intent. He could not wait to kill Qin Sheng immediately. Qin Sheng was not moved. He just wanted to provoke Song Hushing and see what Song Hushing would do. Therefore, the angrier Song Hushing was the prouder Qin Sheng was. He smiled and replied, "Did I say anything wrong? From now on, you're my brother-in-law. If I have offended you in the past, please forgive me." "Qin Sheng, do you really think that you can marry Ruyu?" Song Hushing said word by word. Qin Sheng replied, "Can you stop me? Sinister villain, is this your plan from the beginning? Getting close to Ruyu step by step. It seems that I have underestimated you." Song Hushing restrained the anger in his heart and said. Qin Sheng did not flinch and said, "Yes, so what? Anyway, you have always been full of hostility towards me. No matter how I explain, you will not listen. Then you can think whatever you want. Do you believe that I will ruin your reputation in Sijio City?" Song Hushing directly threatened. Qin Sheng lit a cigarette and took a deep breath. He said, "Of course I do. You're the young master of the Song family, one of the most promising young people in Sijio City. How can I not believe you? Leave Ryu and I will let bygones be bygones. I owe you a favor. In the future, no matter how big the problem is, I will return it to you." Song Hushing took a step back and said, it was a kind of forbearance. For the sake of his sister, he had no other way. Qin Sheng was silent for a moment and then replied, "What if I say no? If you refuse, then we will fight to the death. From now on, you are my enemy. As long as you do not marry Ruyu, I will not let you go. Even if you marry Ruyu, I will not let you go. As for the matter of your Qin family, don't blame me for hitting you when you were down." Song Hushing said in this way, which was a complete showdown. This time, Qin Sheng did not hesitate and directly replied, "Then go ahead and do it. I will wait." After hearing this, Song Hushing instantly became angry. The Qin siblings were exactly the same. Chapter 9:27. The Qin siblings might have completely offended Song Hushing this time. In fact, they didn't have to offend Song Hushing completely. However, Song Hushing was asking for help. He didn't take the initiative to humble himself, but instead, he was aggressive. No one could bear it. It was a humiliation to the Qin family. Secondly, Song Hushing was not qualified to make a deal with them on this matter. Compared with the price offered by Song Hushing, Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu's marriage obviously had more benefits. They were not on the same level at all. Therefore, everyone knew what to choose. If Song Husheng had the strength to bargain with the Qin clan might consider it. Unfortunately, he didn't have the strength to do so. Since that was the case, the Qin siblings naturally wouldn't take him seriously. So what if he stood on the opposite side of the Qin clan? Although Song Husheng was one of the most promising young people in Suzhou City, he was not powerful enough. No matter what he did, it wouldn't be a big deal. Moreover, the Song family had agreed. Song Husheng stood on the opposite side of the Song family, so the Song family would naturally torture him. The Qin family didn't have to worry about this. In one day, Song Husheng was bullied twice. No one could bear it. In Song Husheng's eyes, the Qin siblings were vile people intoxicated by success. They were like the Phoenix man who had suffered a lot in the past, suddenly married into a rich family, and began to show off. But he was Song Husheng. He was not someone else. Since he had spoken, he wouldn't let the Qin family be so happy. Since they had broken up, Song Husheng couldn't lower his head and beg Qin Sheng. He didn't say any harsh words. He just stared at Qin Sheng for a few seconds, then turned around and drove away. Qin Sheng let out a long sigh. This time, he really offended his brother-in-law. In the future, he would inevitably be in trouble. When Qin Sheng returned to the Qin family's villa, his aunt and sister were waiting for him in the living room. Obviously, they wanted to know the result of today's meeting with his parents for the first time. They were afraid that the Song family would take a firm stance and not give Qin Sheng a good result. Even if Qin Sheng was wronged, they could comfort him. Seeing Qin Sheng enter the door, Qin Ran stood up and asked with a smile, "You're back." Qin Sheng nodded and asked, "Yes, why are you still awake? Can we sleep?" Zhao Anji could not wait to get up and walk to Qin Sheng's side. She pulled his arm and asked, "How is it?" Qin Sheng deliberately kept her guessing. "Andy, what do you mean?" Zhao Anji replied angrily. "You child, why are you pretending to be confused? What did you say? How about going to the Song family? How are her parents treating you? Did they quarrel or something? You don't look too good. Have you been wronged?" Qin Sheng said casually, "Oh, about that. I thought you were going to ask me about something. Nothing much. I just had a normal meal, and it was even cooked by me. I also accompanied Uncle Song to drink some wine." Then, he told the two gossipy women the details of what had happened. Only then did they let him sit down. Zhao Anji said in disbelief, "That's it? Why don't I believe it? I heard that the Song family is against this marriage. I thought it was a trap." Qin Sheng drank a glass of water and said, "Auntie, will you only believe me if I get the cold shoulder or suffer some humiliation?" Qin Ran echoed and said, "Even if there are no such things, there should be some sarcasm and sarcasm. Who asked you to abduct their daughter? If I were her parents, I wouldn't want our family to end up like this. Am I that bad?" Qin Sheng was completely helpless. Zhao Anji did not dwell on this matter anymore. She replied, "It's fine as long as everything goes well. It seems that the Song family's attitude is not as terrible as we thought." That's good, that's good. "Auntie, that may not be true. Song Husheng came to us this afternoon," Qin Ran said casually. She had not told her aunt about this yet. Qin Sheng frowned and said, "Sister, Song Husheng also came to you?" Qin Ran understood what Qin Sheng meant and asked, "Why? Did he come to you too?" Qin Sheng replied honestly, "I was just blocked at the gate of the community. Song Husheng really won't stop until he is dead," Qin Ran said with some anger. Zhao Anji immediately asked, "Why did he come to you?" Qin Ran explained, "What else could it be? He just wants the Qin family to give up this marriage. He thinks that Qin Sheng doesn't deserve his sister. But I don't want to talk to him, so I directly refused. If he has the ability to stop it, then it's his ability." Based on what his sister said, Qin Sheng guessed that they would deal with it in the same way. Song Husheng must have been defeated by his sister, so he came to him. He did not expect that he would do the same. Zhao Anji was not interested and replied, "Don't worry about him. He's just a junior. The attitude of the Song family's elders is the most important. Your small aunt will come to Beijing tomorrow. She has already called me. Tomorrow night, we will meet the Song family's elders and settle this matter. According to her, let's find a date to get engaged first. As for the other things, we can take our time. I have also agreed. What do you think? Get engaged first? Qin Ran was a little surprised. Zhao Anji did not hide it and said, the marriage cycle is too long and there are too many unforeseen events. If we get engaged, it will be considered as a formal marriage. At that time, the outside world will know, which is good for our Qin family. Both Qin Ran and Qin Sheng understood what Annie meant. Apart from other factors, the Qin family just needed this news. Qin Ran thought for a moment and said, then get engaged first. Seeing that Qin Sheng did not say anything, Zhao Anji asked, Qin Sheng, what do you think? I have no opinion, Qin Sheng said calmly. This matter was no longer about him alone. It was a big matter between the three families. Other things were also decided by the elders. After talking about this matter, everyone went back to rest. The next day, Qin Ran and Qin Sheng went to their grandmother's place early in the morning. When they arrived at their grandmother's house, their small aunt had already taken the earliest flight and arrived. Their aunt and other people were also there. Today, the old lady would be officially hospitalized. In the future, they could only go to the hospital to see her. However, for the Zhu family, this was good news. If the old lady's health continued to be like this, she would have a big problem sooner or later. They cannot get through it by luck every time. At least in the general hospital, even if there was an accident, there would be a doctor at any time. At the same time, Zhu Qingwen also arranged a date to accompany the old lady. As long as the Zhu family was in Beijing, they would arrange to accompany the old lady, including Qin Ran and Qin Sheng. Of course, this excluded the Zhu family's eldest son, who was busy with official business. After all, his business was more important. However, the old lady was very against it. She said that there were doctors and nurses here, and there were almost 24 hours a day. She did not need anyone to accompany her. They all had their own work, which was the most important thing. In the end, she could not dissuade everyone and could only nod and agree. After that, they were ready to go out for lunch. Today, Wu Yajun and Zhu Qingwen would stay here. After lunch, the others could go to do their own work. There was no need for so many people to stay in the hospital. In the evening, Zhu Qingwen and Zhao Anji went back to meet the elders of the Song family. At this time, Song Ryu suddenly came to the old lady's ward. No one knew how Song Ryu knew about it, or if she happened to meet her. After all, old Master Song was also in the hospital, and they lived in the same building. It was normal to meet her by chance. Song Ryu did not meet old Master Song by chance. When she went to see her grandfather, he took the initiative to tell her. After all, she would be the daughter-in-law of the Qin family and the Zhu family in the future. Old Lady Zhu was in the hospital today, so she had to take the initiative to go to see her. Song Ryu did not refuse. She came to see Qin Sheng generously. When everyone saw Song Ryu, they were somewhat surprised and embarrassed. They were not as natural as before. After all, everyone knew that Song Ryu would be Qin Sheng's future wife. This was also the first time that they saw Song Ryu after the three families confirmed the marriage. Of course, it was different from the past. However, everyone had to admit that Song Ryu was really beautiful, elegant, and excellent. She was more than enough to be a good match for Qin Sheng. No wonder so many families in Sijio City were thinking about her. If this matter was announced to the public, many people would be envious of Qin Sheng. Therefore, everyone's attention was focused on Qin Sheng and Song Ryu. It seemed that Qin Sheng was not used to this pair of golden boy and jade girl. Song Ryu did not feel embarrassed. She smiled and greeted the people of the Zhu family. In the end, she walked to the old lady's bed and greeted her obediently. The people of the Zhu family admired her very much. The old lady was very happy to see Song Ryu. She wanted to talk with her more, so she said to the others, "Aren't you going to have dinner? Go and have dinner. I want to talk with Ryu." Zhu Qingwen and Qin Sheng wanted to stay, but they were driven out by the old lady in the end. They had to leave with the others. Before Qin Sheng left, he did not forget to look at Song Ryu. Song Ryu responded with her eyes, telling him not to worry. After everyone left, the old lady took Song Ryu's hand and said, "Girl, I'm sorry to have made you suffer. No one had expected that things would come to this point. The old lady had not expected this either. When she had first met Lin Su, she had thought that Lin Su would be her future granddaughter-in-law. She had even given Qin Sheng's mother's belongings to Lin Su. It could be seen how much the old lady liked Lin Su. But what about now? Qin Sheng was going to be with Song Ruyu in the end. The old lady felt sorry for Lin Su and felt that Song Ruyu had suffered. She could not take back what she had given to Lin Su. Could she? She felt sorry for the girl. Grandma, I didn't suffer. Song Ruyu replied with a smile. In order not to let the old lady think too much, Song Ruyu had to comfort her. Grandma, I like Qin Sheng very much. I have liked him since I was a child. He has always protected me and gave me everything. After he disappeared, I cried for a long time. I thought I would never see him again. I didn't expect that he would come back. It felt like I had lost my favorite toy and found it again. So I like to be with him. The old lady said doubtfully, Really? You're not lying to me, are you? Grandma, how could I lie to you? Song Ruyu replied sincerely. After a moment of silence, the old lady said formally, Ryu, if what you said is true, then I will hand Qin Sheng over to you. I am old and I know my health condition. If I suddenly pass away one day, the one I am most worried about is him. He has been suffering outside. It is not easy for him to come back, but he is suffering more than outside. If you treat him well, I will be relieved. The old lady's words were a little heavy. Song Ruyu instantly felt the pressure. She did not know how to respond, because she did not have the final say in many things. But she finally nodded. That was all she could do. Chapter 928. The old madam seemed to have said this to Lin Su before. At that time, she even gave Lin Su the relic left by Qin Sheng's mother. That was because the old madam also knew what Qin Sheng and Lin Su had been through. She had already subconsciously regarded Lin Su as her granddaughter-in-law. She also believed that these two children would eventually be able to go through all the hardships together. She also believed that her grandson loved Lin Su deeply. However, at that time, the old lady didn't know what had happened to the Qin family. She didn't expect so many things to happen later. She felt sorry for Lin Su, the silly girl, and even more for her grandson and granddaughter. That was why she gave Qin Sheng the choice in the end. Now, Qin Sheng had chosen the Qin family and Song Ruyu. This matter was almost set in stone. Unless there was a huge change, Ryu would be the woman who would accompany Qin Sheng to the end. The old lady was really worried about Qin Sheng. Moreover, Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu had become a couple in this way. She was worried and afraid. Therefore, she said these words to Ruyu in such a formal manner. She did not know what would happen if she handed Qin Sheng over to Ruyu. She only hoped that Ruyu would treat Qin Sheng well. There was no one else in the ward except for the old lady and her future granddaughter-in-law. The old lady stopped talking when she saw Song Ruyu's serious look. After all, Ruyu and Qin Sheng were not as close as Qin Sheng and Lin Su. Otherwise, she wouldn't have said these words so seriously. As a result, the old lady chatted with Ruyu. She really liked this girl from the Song family. She had always liked her since she was a child. If Qin Sheng had not disappeared for more than 20 years, these two children would have gone from childhood sweethearts to marriage. That should have been the most beautiful thing in the world. Unfortunately, fate is something that no one can understand. The fate of an individual is always accompanied by the fate of a family, and the fate of a family is accompanied by the changes of time. In the end, we are just insignificant dust in the world. We always think that we can change a lot, but we find that other than ourselves, nothing has changed. The old lady gave Lin Su the relic left by Qin Sheng's mother. In the end, she gave Lin Su a pair of earrings, which had accompanied her for many years. Although they were not worth much, they had other meanings. Originally, she wanted to give them to her daughter, Zhu Qingwen, when she was old, but now she felt wronged. Song Ryu didn't want it no matter what. She knew it was very important to the old lady, but she couldn't dissuade the old lady. She had no choice but to accept it. To be honest, although she had promised her grandfather to marry Qin Sheng, Song Ryu still felt that it was a little unreal. It seemed that she had not really accepted this at all. She could only get used to it bit by bit. In a restaurant not far from the hospital, the members of the Zhu family were having dinner. Several juniors were talking about Song Ruyu, and most of them were praising her. After all, Song Ruyu was famous, and they were familiar with each other. Although they were satisfied with her, they also thought it would be great if Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu could be together. Humans were always like this. They often couldn't empathize with things that didn't happen to them. No matter how important something was, it would pass in a few days. No matter how unforgettable it was, it would not be so important after a few days. In the end, they would only gradually forget about Lin Su and gradually recognize Song Ruyu's identity. Moreover, Song Ruyu's family background was much better than Lin Su's. Qin Sheng didn't say anything and just lowered his head to eat. Fortunately, the juniors of the Zhu family were sensible and not stupid. They didn't compare Song Ruyu with Lin Su. If they did, Qin Sheng would probably be a little angry. However, before Qin Sheng said anything, Zhu Qingwen and Wu Yajun would probably reprimand him. After lunch, the others went back first. Qin Sheng and Qin Ran accompanied their small aunt and aunt back to the hospital. Qin Ran and his aunt walked behind them, while Qin Sheng and his small aunt walked in front. Small aunt, do you blame me? Qin Sheng suddenly asked. He knew that his small aunt was the closest to Lin Su and was quite satisfied with Lin Su. When his grandmother announced the news, his small aunt probably had the biggest objection. This was also the reason why his small aunt hadn't taken the initiative to call him or asked him about it since she knew about it. Zhu Qingwen shook her head and smiled bitterly. I don't blame you. I just feel that it's unfair to Su Su. She has done so much for you and loves you so much. What you did will make her feel bitterly disappointed. How painful she will be. How long will it take for her to let you go? Qin Sheng didn't say anything. How could he not know that? He just wanted to avoid it. Therefore, every time someone mentioned it, he felt as if his heart was being pricked by needles. After a long silence, Qin Sheng replied, Small aunt, I'm sorry. I'll let you down. Zhu Qingwen said helplessly, It's already like this. There's nothing you can do. Think of a way to make it up to Su Su. Even if she doesn't need it, you should do something for her. I think even if Ryu knows about it, she will understand. If you are too heartless, she may not like it. As for Su Su, as long as she is in Shanghai, I will take care of her. As for the Lin family, I will do what I can, as long as it's within my ability and principles. Thank you, small aunt, Qin Sheng said lightly. Zhu Qingwen turned around and touched Qin Sheng's head. No matter what, you are my nephew. I love you the most. I know you are not an irresponsible man. If it weren't for this, you wouldn't have done this. I also know that you are in more pain than anyone else. You just don't want to say it. I understand you, and I think others will too. Okay. When they returned to the ward, Song Ryu was still chatting with the old lady. Maybe she was afraid that the old lady would be bored alone. Song Ryu didn't leave until the other members of the Zhu family came back. The old lady asked Qin Sheng to see Song Ryu off. She also wanted to visit old Master Song. After all, since old Master Song had been hospitalized, Qin Sheng hadn't been to the hospital to see him. Qin Sheng thought about it and agreed with her. The Song family had a lot of opinions about him. If he didn't take the initiative to show his support, the Song family would be even more dissatisfied. In the hospital corridor, Qin Sheng asked casually, What did Grandma talk to you about? Song Ryu chuckled. Nothing. She just said that if you bully me in the future, I can complain to her. At that time, Grandma will punish you for me. Qin Sheng wanted to joke that Song Ryu got into the role quickly and didn't treat herself as an outsider. However, he was afraid that Song Ryu would think too much. Given Song Ryu's intelligence, if she married him, it wouldn't take long for all the members of the Qin family and the Zhu family to stand on her side, which was not a good thing. Ha ha ha, I guess your brother will directly hack me to death without Grandma's help. Qin Sheng joked. Song Ryu asked subconsciously. Did he look for you? How do you know? Qin Sheng asked. Song Ryu replied. I guessed it. You didn't have any conflicts, did you? He was just worried about me. Don't think too much about it. I know he did it for you. I never denied it. He always wanted to protect you. However, he was too hostile to me from the beginning. I couldn't do anything about it. Although we didn't have any conflict, we didn't give in to each other. I have completely offended him. Anyway, he has already said that if I don't give up on you, he will try his best to stop me. He will definitely not let me or the Qin family off. Even if I marry you, he will not stop until one of us is dead. I really don't know how I offended him. Qin Sheng said somewhat helplessly. Song Ryu had guessed it. After all, her brother would definitely look for Qin Sheng after looking for her. Qin Sheng had always been against it. How could he not stop him? Fortunately, they didn't have any conflicts. Otherwise, it would be a deadlock. Song Ryu thought for a while and said, "No matter what, he is my brother. I hope you don't take it to heart. As for him, I will find a way to solve it." Well, anyway, it doesn't matter to me, as long as he doesn't go too far. Qin Sheng compromised. After all, Song Ryu had spoken, and he had to respect her. Soon, they arrived at old Master Song's ward. Song Ryu's aunt was there. She was dressed elegantly and had been serving old Master Song. Qin Sheng didn't know whether it was because she had changed or because old Master Song was there, but when she saw Qin Sheng, she actually greeted him with a polite smile. Song Ryu walked quickly to her grandfather and said, "Grandpa, Qin Sheng is here to see you." Qin Sheng followed her and said, "Grandpa Song, are you feeling better?" "Much better. You don't have to worry about me," old Master Song said with a smile. He was not as distant as before. After all, he had agreed to marry Qin Sheng. Qin Sheng would be his grandson-in-law in the future, so he had to be polite to him. "Is your grandma here?" Old Master Song asked casually. Qin Sheng answered truthfully, saying that his grandma had been hospitalized this morning and everything had been arranged. In the future, if he had nothing to do in the hospital, he would come to accompany old Master Song to relieve his boredom. Old Master Song sighed and said, "I'm old. She was in Shanghai and I was in Beijing. I didn't expect to see her here. In the future, we can visit each other when we have nothing to do. Let's see who will send the other away first." Song Ryu said unhappily, "Grandpa, how can you say that? You can still live for a long time." Well, I'll live for a few more years. At least until you get married. If you work hard, maybe I can see your children." Old Master Song laughed and was in a good mood. Song Ryu was a little embarrassed. She didn't expect that her grandfather would say that. "Grandpa," Song Ryu said coquettishly. Old Master Song looked at Qin Sheng again and said, "Qin Sheng, no matter what happens and no matter what you will experience, I will hand Ryu over to you. I have fulfilled my wish. Take good care of her for me in the future. Don't let me down." Old Master Song looked at Qin Sheng and said, "Qin Sheng, no matter what happens and what you will experience." Old Lady Zhu entrusted Qin Sheng to Song Ryu, and Old Master Song entrusted Song Ryu to Qin Sheng. Both of them cared about their granddaughters and hoped that they could live a good life in the future. In this way, they could rest assured. If the two children didn't live a happy life in the future, they would feel guilty even if they died, because they were the ones who brought them together. "Grandpa Song, don't worry. I will take good care of Ryu," Qin Sheng said firmly. Old Master Song said quietly, "The Qin family and the Song family are old friends. I believe everything the men of the Qin family say. With your words, I'm completely relieved." Qin Sheng looked at Old Master Song firmly. You should thank Old Master Song, because if Old Master Song hadn't agreed, there wouldn't have been such a thing. Old Master Song was helping the Qin family indirectly. At this time, Old Master Song continued, "As for other things, don't think too much about it. It's the adult's business. It's none of your business." Qin Sheng naturally understood what Old Master Song meant. It seemed that both of them were very determined. No matter whether it was the internal resistance of the Song family or the Zhu family, they would be suppressed by them in the end. Chapter 929. The situation, whether it was Old Master Song or Old Lady Zhu, they had both witnessed different eras. From the fall of the country to the prosperity of the country and the people, they had also experienced many things that young people nowadays could not imagine. Therefore, their willpower was far beyond that of ordinary people. Since they had already made up their minds, how could others change their minds? Moreover, They had absolute authority in each other's families. After hearing old Master Song's words, Qin Sheng figured out what would happen next. No matter what others did, they would not change the result. Otherwise, they would be challenging the two old masters. Since they made such a choice, it meant that they had already thought through all the causes and effects. How could they not think of what others were thinking? It could only be said that they thought more than others. Qin Sheng stopped thinking about it. After the meeting of the Qin family, the Song family, and the Zhu family tonight, he would figure out the final result. It would be clear at a glance who was the source of resistance in this matter. As for Song Husheng, although Song Ryu said that she would deal with it, Qin Sheng believed that Song Husheng was just trying to annoy him. What else could he do? The old master did not talk much with Qin Sheng before he asked him to leave. After all, they had talked about what needed to be talked about. Qin Sheng also knew about this matter. It was meaningless to say too much. It would only make Qin Sheng feel more stressed or think more. So in the end, the old master told Qin Sheng to take his granddaughter out to watch movies or go shopping when he was free. That was what young people should do. Old Master Song asked Qin Sheng to take Song Ryu away, saying that it was meaningless for her to stay in the hospital with him. Song Ryu couldn't persuade her grandpa, so she left with Qin Sheng. When they left the hospital, they went to say goodbye to old lady Zhu, who was accompanied by Wu Yajun and Zhu Qingwen, so she was fine. After walking out of the hospital, Song Ryu looked at Qin Sheng and asked, "I'm going back to the party school. What about you?" Qin Sheng had nothing to do at the moment, so he said, "You're always working. Don't you feel bored? Grandpa Song asked me to watch movies and go shopping with you. Let's go. I'll take you to watch a movie. There's a Marvel blockbuster. I guess you haven't seen a movie for a long time." Song Ryu asked in surprise, "Are we really going to the movies?" Just as Qin Sheng said, she had not seen a movie for a long time. The last time she went was with her two best friends. It had been more than 2 months. Recently, her focus was basically on work. After work, she either came to the hospital or went home directly. "Let's go." Without giving Song Ryu a chance to decline, Qin Sheng pulled her into the car directly. Except for her brother Song Husheng, this was the first time that Song Ryu had gone to a movie with a man alone. However, this man was going to be her fiancé and future husband, so it was not a big deal. Still, Song Ryu felt a little uneasy. Perhaps because it was Monday, there were not many people in the cinema. Song Ryu had asked for leave to take care of her grandfather. The leaders of the party school knew who her grandfather was, so they didn't dare to refuse her leave. Even if they didn't know who Song Ryu's grandfather was, they knew who Song Ryu's teacher was. After all, Song Ryu had gone to the party school because a vice principal of the party school had directly asked for her teacher. Therefore, people said that Song Ryu was not only excellent, but also had an outstanding family background and more hidden resources. Whoever married Song Ryu would be able to make use of these resources. Qin Sheng had already bought the tickets for the latest movie on the mobile app. After arriving at the cinema, he directly picked up the tickets and then bought popcorn and Coke. Song Ryu had been waiting in the rest area. After buying the tickets, Qin Sheng walked over and handed the Coke to Song Ryu. "This is for you." Song Ryu shook her head and said, "I don't drink carbonated drinks. It's okay to drink occasionally. Look, other girls are also drinking, aren't they? You're so thin, you should put on some weight." Qin Sheng looked at Song Ryu and muttered. Song Ryu felt a little embarrassed and took the Coke. It seemed that other couples were like this. It was okay to drink occasionally. After a while, Qin Sheng led Song Ryu into the cinema. There were not many people in the cinema. Only 1/3 of the seats were occupied. After finding their seats, they waited for the movie to start. Qin Sheng was afraid that Song Ryu would be too embarrassed, so he always tried to find topics to talk to her. Gradually, Song Ryu got used to it. Marvel movies were always so fierce. Qin Sheng enjoyed watching the movie, but Song Ryu didn't seem to be very interested. She could only accompany Qin Sheng to the end. In the end, she almost fell asleep. Occasionally, Qin Sheng peeked at her and found that she was dozing off. She looked a little cute. Therefore, after the movie, Qin Sheng was supposed to accompany Lin Su to watch the movie, but in the end, Lin Su accompanied Qin Sheng to watch the movie. After walking out of the cinema, Qin Sheng casually said, "I saw that you were almost asleep. Do you not like this kind of movie? Song Ryu didn't want to spoil Qin Sheng's mood, so she explained with a smile, no, I don't usually watch movies, so I'm not used to that kind of atmosphere. Qin Sheng sighed and said, it seems that I'd better not take you to watch movies in the future. It's really like suffering. What do you usually like? Reading books, listening to songs, or just walking around? Song Ryu replied. Reading books and listening to songs were only suitable for one person. Maybe walking around was suitable for two people. Maybe women were born to like shopping. Therefore, Qin Sheng took Song Ryu into the car again without hesitation and went straight to the most famous shopping mall in Sijio City. After getting in the car, Song Ryu frowned and said, where are you taking me? Don't you like to walk around? I'll take you shopping. I can buy some clothes and cosmetics for you, right? Qin Sheng explained in a serious manner. Song Ryu said helplessly, no, I don't need these things. I'll buy them myself. You are you, and I am me. I'll be your fiancé and future husband in the future. It's natural for me to buy things for you. Anyway, it's getting late and you have nothing to do at home. After shopping, we can go to dinner, and then I'll send you back. Qin Sheng directly arranged, not giving Song Ryu any chance to refute. Qin Sheng was so enthusiastic and resolute that Song Ryu had no choice but to compromise. Just like that, she was taken shopping by Qin Sheng. This was really the first time that she had gone shopping with a man. However, after thinking that she hadn't gone shopping for a long time, she gave up struggling. Who knew that Qin Sheng would bring Song Ryu to the famous Dewang Road SKP in Sijio City and the whole country? This was a well-known luxury shopping mall in the whole country, with annual sales of more than 10 billion. Even in the world, it ranked second only to Harrods in the UK. The anniversary celebration of SKP was even more important in the luxury industry. There were many local tycoons who spent more than 1 million in a single day. Buying luxury goods was like buying cabbages. However, today was Monday, and there were not many people here. When Song Ryu got out of the car and saw that Qin Sheng took her to SKP, she was somewhat reluctant. She had been to SKP before and had bought some cosmetics and clothes. However, she was not very interested in luxury goods and had been dragged here by her best friends. At the same time, she could afford most of the things here. She had saved a lot of pocket money and lucky money since she was a child. A few years ago, she had made a lot of money by speculating in the stock market, plus her salary and subsidies. Now, Song Ryu could be regarded as a little rich woman. However, for Song Ryu, everyone should pay more attention to inner cultivation. These worldly possessions were not important. A beautiful person would be beautiful in everything they wore, a graceful person would be elegant in everything he wore, and a cultured person would not need these things to decorate themselves. However, this was only the opinion of people like Song Ryu. If most people thought like her, there would be no need for these luxury shopping malls and luxury goods to exist. After all, most people were ordinary people, and most of them were hypocritical and materialistic. As long as there was a flaw in human nature, there would be people who would take advantage of it to make money. It's a little expensive here, Song Ryu said with a frown. She didn't mind Qin Sheng buying things for her. Even if Qin Sheng didn't want to, the elders of the Zhu and Qin families would have given him a lot of advice. However, Song Ryu felt that it was a bit of a waste to come here. At this moment, Qin Sheng was like a rich playboy who was not short of money. He said happily, you know that our family is not short of money. If we make so much money and don't spend it, it will be meaningless. For most rich people, buying these luxury goods is the same as buying other ordinary things. You don't need to ask me to save money, because the Chong and Charity Fund has spent a lot of money and donated a lot over the years. Today, just choose what you like. Of course, Song Ryu knew that the Qin family was not short of money. Moreover, what Qin Sheng said was right. She couldn't force her way of thinking on others. In the end, she could only follow Qin Sheng into the SKP. Anyway, Qin Sheng was paying the bill today. As the future daughter-in-law of the Qin family, she should be used to this kind of spending. As for Qin Sheng, he hadn't spent money for a long time. Today, he would spend money to buy happiness. Humans were strange. When you were short of money, there were many places where you needed it. You kept earning money, but you were short of money all the time. However, when you had money, you realized that you rarely spent it. Except for those unrealistic expenses, it seemed that you already had everything, so you didn't need to spend money. While Qin Sheng was spending money to buy happiness with Song Ruyu, the elders of the Qin family, the Zhu family, and the Song family had already met. The meeting place was chosen by Zhao Anji. After all, she was the real host of this event. She didn't want Zhu Qingwen to steal the limelight. The meeting place was a private club owned by an old friend. It was very private and would not be disturbed by anyone. Moreover, they were the only guests tonight. Zhao Anji had arrived early, followed by Zhu Qingwen. The elders of the Song family were the last to arrive. Zhao Anji and Zhu Qingwen were polite when they met. She also knew what she should and should not say tonight. She let Zhu Qingwen take the initiative. This was also a form of respect for the Zhu family. After all, this matter was decided by the Zhu family. She needed to be responsible for the specific matters of the engagement. It could be considered a clear division of labor. When the elders of the Song family arrived, Zhu Qingwen and Zhao Anji stood up happily to welcome them. At the same time, a certain old enemy of the Qin family who lived in a courtyard house next to Jingshan Park had somehow heard about the marriage between the Qin and the Song family. When he heard the news, this old man who had been hiding for many years flew into a rage. He scolded his sixth uncle, who always thought that he was omnipotent. Since it didn't work on others, he could only do it himself. Chapter 9:30. In the SKP shopping mall on Dawang Road, Qin Sheng was strolling with Song Ruyu. They went to the cosmetics counter first, which was filled with Song Ruyu's usual cosmetics and skincare products. After all, Song Ruyu only wore light makeup most of the time. Her temperament was not suitable for heavy makeup, which would make her look too enchanting. Moreover, the Song family was strict. If Song Ruyu went home with heavy makeup, she might be scolded by the old master. However, this would never happen because it was not Song Ruyu's style. The cosmetics were not worth much. Qin Sheng was here to spend money today. Ever since he became a super rich second generation, he had never enjoyed the pleasure of being rich. The pleasure of being rich was to spend as much money as possible. However, it seemed that Qin Sheng did not lack anything after he returned to the Qin family, which made him feel somewhat helpless. There were too many luxury cars under the Qin family. Qin Chang'an's Bentley, Maybach, and so on were all parked in the garage to collect dust. In addition, Qin Sheng did not like to be so high-profile, nor did he want to buy a flashy sports car. Therefore, he usually went out with a car that was worth millions. Not to mention other places in the country. The Qin family's mansions in Beijing were already enough for Qin Sheng to live in. Not to mention the courtyard house in Dongshang district, which was worth hundreds of millions. The villa in Xishan was also worth hundreds of millions. As for the mansions in other places, they were either villas or large flats of at least 200 square meters, which were worth tens of millions. Qin Sheng did not have to worry about buying clothes and so on. His sister, Qin Ran, will buy clothes for Qin Sheng every time she went shopping. Many of the clothes had not been worn until now. Whether it was formal wear or casual wear, she had already saved more than 10 sets. She even bought 5 or 6 watches for Qin Sheng. The cheapest one was worth hundreds of thousands. In Shanghai, Lin Su was almost the same. She bought clothes for Qin Sheng more when she went shopping, as if Qin Sheng was born to be a model for them. More expensive things, like a plane or a yacht. Qin Sheng's father had already bought the most advanced private plane at the Capital International Airport and 200-meter yachts, one in Dalian and the other in Sanya. Qin Sheng did not have time to enjoy them at all. Therefore, when it came to spending money, Qin Sheng's father was the real nouveau riche. So, Qin Sheng could not buy a company with money. Could he? The old man always bought companies to invest in banks, real estate, and other listed companies. If Qin Sheng bought it casually, it would be too degrading. He was so rich, but he could not enjoy the fun of being rich. Qin Sheng felt quite helpless. He could only spend more money today. The money he spent might not even be enough for the old man. Therefore, when Song Ruyu finished buying cosmetics and was ready to leave, Qin Sheng directly pulled her to the nearest Tiffany jewelry store. After entering the door, he said to the Tiffany saleswoman who had a good temperament, "Beauty, I want to buy some jewelry for my girlfriend. Can you help me see which ones suit her?" The saleswoman's eyes lit up when she heard this. Although she could not tell the value of these two men from their clothes, and only the man's clothes were tasteful, since the man could say such words, he must be rich. She did not believe that they did not know the brand Tiffany. At the same time, the man's girlfriend was really beautiful, especially her temperament was different. There were countless customers coming and going in this store every day, but there were not many who could make her eyes light up. Even when she entered the store, she was very calm, without the panic and pretended calmness of a woman who had not seen the world. Being a saleswoman in Tiffany SKP store, the saleswoman had seen countless people. She could tell whether a person was rich or not at a glance. This was experience. She would never look down on people like small shopping malls. "Sir, your girlfriend is really beautiful, and her temperament is quite special. I'm afraid that ordinary jewelry is not good enough for her. I have to help you choose carefully. If you are willing, you can also give me some advice," the saleswoman said politely with a standard professional smile. Qin Sheng replied with a smile, "Then I'll leave her to you. I hope you won't let me down." "Sir, rest assured, if we don't have suitable jewelry here, I will also recommend other brands. You will definitely be satisfied," the saleswoman said generously. After that, the saleswoman walked up to Song Ruyu, who made her feel somewhat inferior. She stretched out her hand and asked politely, "Beauty, do you have a favorite type or style such as necklaces, bracelets, earrings, rings, and so on?" There were other customers in Tiffany's store who heard their conversation and looked at them curiously. Some of them were suspicious, while others were envious and curious. Even in such an environment, Song Ruyu was still unmoved. The more beautiful a place was, the more it could reflect the dark side of human nature. However, Song Ruyu did not do that here. She ignored the looks of others, turned around, and looked at Qin Sheng as she said, "You don't have to do this, do you?" Qin Sheng said happily, "It's okay. You can have a look first. If you like it, you can buy it. If not, we can go to another store. Anyway, we're just strolling around." Song Ruyu knew that Qin Sheng was determined to do this. She did not want to argue with him anymore, so she nodded and left with the saleswoman. She said that she wanted to have a look at a necklace or a bracelet. She rarely wore earrings and only wore them when she attended some important occasions. Moreover, Old Lady had just given her a pair of family heirlooms today. As for rings, she did not have any yet. The only ring she wanted to wear was a wedding ring. The saleswoman of Tiffany's, who had already memorized the brand series, immediately thought of a style suitable for this beauty. She smiled and took Song Ruyu and Qin Sheng to the counter over there and immediately began to introduce the styles to them. Since Qin Sheng wanted to spend money, Song Ruyu could only do as he wished. Even if she couldn't choose a necklace from Tiffany, Qin Sheng would take her to Bulgari or Cartier. It would be better for her to choose a necklace here instead of wasting her time. Therefore, Song Ruyu finally chose a necklace. For Qin Sheng, it was not expensive, just over 200,000 yuan. When Song Ruyu heard the price, she looked a little uncomfortable. This should be the most expensive jewelry she had. Of course, if she wanted to, she could also buy more expensive jewelry, but she did not like it. Originally, everything was going smoothly. Qin Sheng was ready to ask the waiter to pack up and pay the bill before leaving. Who knew that a man and a woman would appear out of nowhere? The man was slightly fat and had sparse hair, but it seemed that he was not short of money. The woman wore heavy makeup and was even more enchanting and sexy. With such a configuration, anyone could guess it. The beauty with heavy makeup and red lips pointed at the necklace that Song Ruyu liked and said, "Baby, I like this necklace. Buy it for me." After saying that, the woman, who looked quite vulgar, looked at Song Ruyu provocatively. In her eyes, Song Ruyu was dressed like a country bumpkin. How could she afford this necklace? However, the man beside Song Ruyu looked not bad, just not bad. Then, the woman moved closer to the man's arms and hugged the man's arms tightly, acting coquettishly on her proud chest. "Saleswoman, how much is this necklace?" The chubby middle-aged man asked arrogantly. He did this not only to show off to his girlfriend, but also to Song Ryu. After all, he had already noticed the beauty's existence when he came in, and he had taken the initiative to bring his girlfriend and little lover to this place. The saleswoman treated every customer like a god. She did not know what the others were thinking. She just smiled and replied, "Sir, this necklace is our latest style this year. The price is 288,000 yuan. When he heard the price, the middle-aged man's face changed instantly. He did not expect this necklace to be so expensive. He thought it would only cost tens of thousands of yuan. After all, he had only given his lover 100,000 yuan today, which was completely out of his budget. He did not want to spend so much money on this woman. Money did not grow on trees. Moreover, the tigress at home was so strict, like a detective. The coquettish woman did not know what her baby was thinking at all. She said excitedly, "Baby, it's the latest style. It's so beautiful. I want it." The middle-aged man was in a difficult position, but he didn't wait. When he opened his mouth to speak, the young lady took the initiative to say, "I'm sorry, Mississippi. There is only one in the store now, and it has been reserved by this gentleman and beauty. If you like it, I can get it from other stores, but it may have to wait until tomorrow." When the middle-aged man heard this, he let out a long sigh of relief and pretended to say, "Since they have already made a reservation, let's forget it and come back tomorrow." Song Ryu and Qin Sheng seemed to be outsiders. They watched the man and woman, who were much older than each other, acting as if it were more interesting than shopping for them. They were both smart people, so they could understand a lot of things. However, the coquettish woman didn't want to lose face in this way. She glanced at Qin Sheng and Song Ryu and said, "Haha, can they afford it? Look at their clothes. I guess they don't know the price of this necklace. This is SKP, not Joy City." Great Joy City expressed that they were innocent, as they had been shot while lying down. However, compared to SKP, no one could compare to them. Originally, Qin Sheng and Song Ryu didn't think too much about it. They could see that the man didn't want to buy it, so they didn't bother to pay the bill and left directly. However, the woman didn't want to let it go, which made Qin Sheng a little unhappy. He subconsciously looked at Song Ryu, who immediately knew what Qin Sheng wanted to do. So, before the woman said anything, Qin Sheng took the initiative to say, "It's okay. If you like it, we can let you have it." "Haha, if you don't have money, then you don't have money. Why are you pretending? I asked you to buy it. Can you afford it?" The coquettish woman sneered and said to her baby, "Baby, I want it." The middle-aged man had no choice but to bite the bullet and say, "Baby, you have to understand the principle of first come, first served. They liked it first, so let them have it." At this time, Song Ryu said, "No, I think that one looks better." Qin Sheng followed Song Ryu's gaze and found that they had indeed noticed that necklace just now. So he asked the waitress, "Beauty, how much is that necklace?" No matter how stupid the beautiful lady was, she could tell what was going on. It was clear at a glance who was really buying and who was not. She said politely, "Sir, the price of that one is the same as this one, 288,000 yuan. We happen to have an event today. We can give you a 98% discount. Take it and pay the bill," Qin Sheng said without hesitation. After that, he directly handed the black gold card of ICBC to the waitress. When the waitress saw the black gold card of ICBC, she was stunned. All of them had gone through professional training, especially when it came to reading a customer's net worth from a bank card. This was a basic course. At this time, the waitress realized that this young and handsome man was really super rich. She couldn't help but envy the beautiful woman. Only a beautiful woman like her could match up to him. On the other side, the middle-aged man also seemed to recognize this credit card because his previous big boss also had this card. It would be difficult for him to have such a net worth in this lifetime. His face turned a little pale. It didn't occur to him that these two young people were really rich, while he was just pretending to be fat. Only the coquettish woman didn't know this. She was still a little insensible. She didn't expect that the other party was really rich. Because of this, she was even more determined to buy this necklace. Otherwise, it would be really shameful. So she pulled her middle-aged boyfriend and said, "Honey, I want it. I want it." The middle-aged man was a little angry, but he had to control his temper. When Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu looked at him with sympathy, he was even more ashamed. Therefore, the middle-aged man and his coquettish little lover began to entangle. When Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu paid the bill and left, they seemed to be quarreling. It seemed that the middle-aged man was going to lose everything. Therefore, don't pretend to be rich. Chapter 9:31. SKP had been the national sales champion for many years and was ahead of the second place by billions of dollars. This was not an exaggeration, but a result of the real wealth of the local tycoons. Moreover, this was Beijing, where there were many rich and powerful people. One could meet all kinds of local tycoons. After all, there were many rich but low-key people in Suzhou City, and there were many hidden tycoons. The middle-aged man had seen the world, so it was a bit too much for him to show off here. Maybe Tiffany was not a top luxury brand. Or maybe Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu, who were well-matched in terms of social status, were too low-key. Or maybe the middle-aged man was cheated by his little lover. Women like her, who only knew about vanity and money, were not very smart. Or maybe the middle-aged man was also blinded by his face and beauty. It could only be said that he had met Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu, who didn't like to make trouble. What he had done today was not too much. Otherwise, if he had offended some powerful bigwigs, they would have found out about his background. At that time, he didn't know how much he would have to pay. After leaving Tiffany, Qin Sheng continued to stroll around with Song Ruyu. He bought a bracelet for Song Ruyu at a Bulgari store not far away. This time, they did not encounter any drama. Later, when they went upstairs to buy clothes, Song Ruyu insisted on choosing a more casual and fashionable set of clothes for Qin Sheng, saying that she wanted to see Qin Sheng's different look. She always felt that Qin Sheng had been a bit lifeless recently. Qin Sheng thought about it and felt that it was true, so he gladly agreed. However, when Qin Sheng came out after changing his clothes, a young man, who seemed to be rich, was trying to hit on Song Ruyu, such as adding her WeChat and leaving her phone number. Song Ruyu completely ignored him. She had seen too many men like this, so when she saw Qin Sheng coming out, she immediately went up to him. Anyone could see that she had a boyfriend. He was quite handsome, but he looked like he had kidney deficiency. His face was swollen, and he had dark circles under his eyes. However, this man was quite tactful. Seeing that the famous flower was taken, he took the initiative to pay the bill and left. Before he left, he even nodded to Qin Sheng in embarrassment. Qin Sheng did not say much. Beautiful women were like stars in the sky. They would always be surrounded by people. Later, Qin Sheng continued to take Song Ruyu shopping. Song Ruyu didn't expect that Qin Sheng would be so enthusiastic when shopping, but she gradually got used to it. She just followed Qin Sheng and strolled around. Even if she didn't buy anything, she would still look around. Shopping was a woman's nature. While Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu were shopping, the elders of the Qin, Song, and Zhu families were already busy. There was only Zhao Anji from the Qin family, and only Zhu Qingwen from the Zhu family. There were several people from the Song family, including Song Ruyu's parents, eldest uncle, and aunt. It was said that Song Ruyu's two uncles also wanted to come, but the Song family wanted to be domineering. They thought that this was the Song family's business, so they did not let Song Ruyu's two uncles come over. They said that it was just a discussion, and it was not the time for the official engagement. After a simple greeting, both sides got down to business. Zhu Qingwen toasted the elders of the Song family and took the initiative to say, "This time, and Ji and I came here to talk to you about the details of the two children." Although the elders were the matchmakers, they all agreed. The rest is up to us adults. We want to find a time to get engaged first. As for the betrothal gifts, you can ask for them. Anyway, it's for the children. Zhu Qingwen's eyes lit up, and she said, "I came here with Ji to talk to you about the details." Zhu Qingwen cleverly took the lead and set the tone. She directly said that they were here to talk about the engagement, not to discuss whether it would work or not. The old man agreed, and so did the two children. It's settled. If you don't agree, it's your own business. It has nothing to do with us. Of course, the eldest son of the Song family disagreed. Before Song Ryu's parents could say anything, he directly retorted, "When did we agree? Qingwen, where did this come from?" Now the Zhu family is in the limelight, but Qin Sheng is only a grandson of the Zhu family. Now that the Qin family is in such a storm, even the Zhu family is not going to help them. Why do they have to drag this Song family down with them? Moreover, how could the Qin family's matter be so simple? The Song family definitely would not agree. Most importantly, Song Ryu was so excellent that she could have found a more suitable partner. Even if she wasn't from a rich or powerful family, the Qin family wouldn't have suffered the same fate. The Song family was supported by the old master, who was already very old and in poor health. If he had an accident one day, the Song family would be completely ruined. What would the Song family do when others started to take revenge on them? "Big brother, what do you mean?" Zhu Qingwen asked politely. "The elders have agreed, and the two children have no objection. So who disagrees? You, or who disagrees?" The eldest son of the Song family said bluntly, "I disagree. Qin Sheng and Ryu are not suitable." Hearing this, Song Ryu's parents' faces instantly darkened. They had discussed this matter with their eldest brother and told him that they thought this marriage was not bad and that he didn't need to intervene. They didn't expect that their eldest brother would bring it up in front of them today. Wasn't this a bad thing? The second son of the Song family frowned and said, "Big brother, didn't we agree?" "We all agreed." The eldest son of the Song family said disapprovingly, "I think we need to discuss it again. We can't be too hasty." Song Ryu's mother liked Qin Sheng very much. After all, because of Qin Sheng's mother, she was afraid that the marriage would be ruined. She hurriedly said, "Big brother, this is our daughter. As her parents, we all agree." "What do you mean?" Zhao Anji said timely, "Brother Song, old Master Song has agreed." "Does old Master Song know that you don't agree? Why don't you ask him?" As soon as Zhao Anji opened her mouth, the eldest son of the Song family directly focused on Zhao Anji. He said, "Don't think that I don't know what the Qin family is planning. I don't know how you persuaded the old master, but you just want our help, right? Do you really need to make this move?" Zhao Anji was a little angry when she heard this. She said, "Brother Song, I don't like what you said. This is the marriage of two children. Why are you talking about this? It seems that even if the two children get married, the Song family will help the Qin family. Our Qin family is in trouble now, but we won't be humiliated by others." The eldest son of the Song family laughed and said, "Really?" Zhu Qingwen said unhappily, "Brother Song, I want to know, does the whole Song family disagree, or only you disagree?" After that, Zhu Qingwen looked at the other members of the Song family. She could tell that Song Ryu's parents seemed to have agreed. As long as they agreed, it would not be a big deal. She just didn't want to embarrass the eldest son of the Song family. The eldest son of the Song family said firmly, "My opinion is the opinion of the Song family." However, as soon as he finished speaking, he was slapped in the face by Song Ryu's aunt. Song Ryu's aunt sneered and said, "Big brother, since when can you represent the Song family? Our father is still alive, right? Even if our father is gone, you can't represent him, can you?" "We all agree, and Ryu has no objection." It seems that she likes Qin Sheng very much. Look at how suitable he is. Besides, Qin Sheng is a good boy. I don't know why you don't like him. Besides, second brother and second sister-in-law don't have any objections. They are Ryu's biological parents. If they don't do it for their daughter's good, you can't just let them off. The eldest son of the Song family said, "You don't understand. We're doing this for the Song family." Song Ryu's mother couldn't help saying, "Big brother, you are doing this for the Song family. We're doing this for Ryu. As long as Ryu likes him, we will agree even if she has to marry a beggar. If you don't agree, it's your business. If you can persuade our father, we will accept it." The second son of the Song family was the second son in the family, but his official career was higher than that of the eldest son. He didn't say anything because he respected the eldest son. At this moment, he couldn't help saying, "Big brother, we're talking about the engagement and marriage. If you have any objection, it's your business. We agree to this marriage. If Ryu doesn't live a good life in the future, we won't blame anyone." The eldest son of the Song family directly stood up and questioned, "Do you mean that my opinion doesn't count?" The second son of the Song family chuckled and said, "As long as Ryu is willing, no one can say anything." Second brother, remember what you said today. I hope you won't regret it. The eldest son of the Song family was a little annoyed. After saying that, he left directly. The atmosphere instantly became a little awkward. Zhao Anji and Zhu Qingwen had thought of ways to persuade the eldest son of the Song family, but they didn't expect that there would be internal strife in the Song family first. In the end, they didn't need to do anything at all, and the other members of the Song family solved the problem. However, it was just the beginning. If the eldest son of the Song family really didn't agree, there would definitely be other troubles in the future. Song Ryu's aunt hurried to smooth things over. "That's my big brother. He always cares about himself and doesn't care about what others think. Don't be angry." Zhu Qingwen chuckled and said, "We understand." Song Ryu's mother took the opportunity to say, "Old master agreed. So did Ryu. I think Qin Sheng is a good man. I really don't know why he didn't agree. I guess he said something bad to Sheng. Let's not talk about this. Let's get down to business. I heard that you want to get engaged first." The second son of the Song family didn't want to talk about his big brother in front of outsiders. After all, it was the internal affairs of the Song family. Zhao Anji hurried to reply, "Yes, we think that we should get engaged first. As for the marriage, it's up to the two kids. We can do it whenever they want." Song Ryu's mother asked, "When do you want to get engaged?" Zhu Qingwen said calmly, "We weren't in a hurry, but I asked the old Taoist priest of the Baiyun Taoist temple to do some calculations. They think that the 18th of next month is the best day of the year. What do you think? The 18th of next month? Although it's a little urgent, we don't mind if it's a good day." The second son of the Song family thought for a while and replied, "Anyway, they would get married sooner or later, so it didn't matter when they got engaged." After hearing that, Zhao Anji immediately said happily, "Then the 18th of next month. Then let's talk about the betrothal gifts." Don't worry, Zhu Qingwen and Zhao Anji had talked about these things. They would give what they should give, which would definitely make the Song family look good. However, before Zhu Qingwen finished speaking, the second son of the Song family interrupted. "As for the betrothal gifts, you can give them as you see fit. It doesn't matter to us, as long as Ryu thinks it's okay." Hearing that, Zhao Anji and Zhu Qingwen were completely relieved. They didn't expect that tonight would be so smooth. Although the first son of the Song family had interfered, after all, everything went smoothly without any twists and turns. This meant that the marriage between the Qin and the Song family had been completely established and could be announced to the public. This was definitely a big news. Chapter 9:32. With the strong intervention of the two elders, the originally impossible thing became possible. It had to be said that the two elders were very skillful, and their words carried enormous weight within their respective families. These juniors were not allowed to question them. What the Qin family should be most grateful to was that old Lady Zhu did not hold the former enmity against her. Although old Lady Zhu did it for her grandson and granddaughter, she actually helped the Qin family. Secondly, the Qin family should thank the Song family for their generosity. The old master dared to make such a decision at this time. Not every family could have such courage. It was not only an ordinary marriage, but also the future of a family. Finally, the Qin family should thank themselves. This was the good karma accumulated by generations of the Qin family. Today's reward came from hard work. Otherwise, the Qin family would not be where it was today. A marriage was enough to change the current situation of the Qin family. Even if it could not help Qin Chang'an, it would relieve the pressure on him. However, it would relieve the pressure on the Qin family more. All parties would naturally interpret the news seriously. As for what to do next, it was their business. After the eldest son of the Song family left, the atmosphere of the meeting gradually became harmonious. Many problems were solved in laughter. At the beginning, it was awkward. Now, there were 4 women, which made the meeting more lively. On the contrary, the second son of the Song family seemed to be an outsider. Zhu Qingwen had seen much of the world. Now that her husband was a famous official, Song Ruyu's aunt obviously wanted to curry favor with him and took the initiative to talk about many topics. Zhao Anji cared more about Song Ruyu's mother's feelings, so they talked more. After all, she was Qin Sheng's future mother-in-law, so Zhao Anji had to pay attention to her. On the way, when Zhao Anji went to the bathroom, she happened to meet Song Ruyu's aunt who had just come out of the bathroom. Zhao Anji was a smart woman. She had inquired about the situation of the Song family and knew that Song Ruyu's aunt was not easy to deal with. She had a certain purpose as to why she stood on the side of the Qin family and the Zhu family. Because her husband was a businessman, what he needed most was connections and resources. Except for Old Master Song, the other two members of the Song family had no power. However, the Zhu family and the Qin family were different. The Zhu family was in its heyday, and it was possible for them to go further. The Qin family used to be the leader in the business field, and anyone could help them. This was the real help. As for whether the Song family was doing well or not, Song Ruyu's aunt was not in the mood to care about it. That was why she had insulted her eldest brother just now. After the two of them chatted for a while, Zhao Anji took the initiative to say, "I heard that your husband's company has some problems recently." Upon hearing Zhao Anji's words, Song Ruyu's aunt instantly felt happy. She had planned to ask Zhao Anji about it after they were officially engaged. She did not expect that Zhao Anji would take the initiative to ask about it today. She pretended to be polite and said, "Yes, I have some cash flow problems. Recently, I have been looking for money. My hair has turned gray." Zhao Anji was not so direct. She smiled and said, "The Qin family has some friends in the business field. Even if the Qin family has some problems now, they still quite recognize us. In a few days, I will contact a few friends and see if they are interested. At that time, I will talk to your family about it." "Really? Thank you so much, Sister Zhao." Song Ruyu's aunt hurriedly flattered her. Zhao Anji held Song Ruyu's aunt's hand and said, "Don't be so polite. We will be a family in the future. As a family, there is no need to be so polite. If there is any problem, we should help each other." Song Ruyu's aunt smiled and nodded as she said, Of course, of course." Therefore, when they returned to the private room, Song Ryu and Song Ryu were as close as sisters. Song Ryu's mother felt that Song Ruyu's aunt was the star of today's show. She felt a little unbalanced, but she didn't say anything when she thought that the matter had been settled in the end. After dinner, the two sides also settled all the following matters. Basically, each family was responsible for their own. The engagement was on the 18th of next month. At that time, the immediate family members of the two families would be present. The specific location would be taken care of by the Qin family. At that time, the Song family would be informed. Everything went so smoothly. After seeing the members of the Song family off, Zhao Anji said happily, "Finally, it's settled. I was afraid that there would be some accidents. Fortunately, the Song family is quite easy to talk to. It's just that the eldest son of the Song family is a bit troublesome." Zhu Qingwen said thoughtfully, "Don't worry about the eldest son of the Song family. As long as the old master of the Song family is there, he will not dare to do anything. At most, he will complain about something. As long as nothing happens during the engagement period, the engagement will be settled naturally." Zhao Anji suddenly said, "I hope that Sheng will directly make the uncooked rice into the cooked rice. That'll be the end of it." Zhu Qingwen turned to look at Zhao Anji and laughed out loud. She did not expect that Zhao Anji would have such an impulsive idea. She wondered what the Song family would think if they knew. The marriage between the Qin and the Song family would probably be known by the whole city tomorrow. It would not take long for the news to spread to Shanghai. Zhu Qingwen did not know whether Lin Su would know about it or not. She did not know how Lin Su was doing now. Zhu Qingwen thought that when she returned to Shanghai this time, she would go to see Lin Su as soon as possible. She was still very worried about this child. Qin Sheng accompanied Song Ryu to go shopping and bought a lot of things. He even bought 2 sets of clothes for himself. As for Song Ryu, he bought a lot of clothes, jewelry, and cosmetics. This was probably the first time that Song Ryu had gone shopping so crazily. Although it was under Qin Sheng's coercion, Song Ryu enjoyed it. After all, it was a woman's nature to love beauty. Song Ryu would no longer be alone in the future. She would become Qin Sheng's wife, representing the face of the Qin family and the Song family. In any case, she had to be well-mannered. After shopping, Qin Sheng asked Chongbaji and the others to move the things into the car. Then he took Song Ryu to a Cantonese restaurant with light dishes. Song Ryu didn't eat much at night, so they finished dinner soon. Qin Sheng drove Song Ryu home. As for the meeting between the three families, he didn't care at all. Even if he cared, what could he do? After sending Song Ryu home, Qin Sheng took her home and put everything in place before leaving. He did not say that he would wait for her. After all, their relationship had just begun. Even if Qin Sheng had some ideas, he could not act rashly. Moreover, Qin Sheng really did not have any ideas now. When Qin Sheng returned to the West Mountain Villa, Zhao Anji had already returned and was chatting with Qin Ran. Qin Ran also knew what she should know. Originally, she had wanted to go with him today, but this was a matter for the elders. As a junior, she could not intervene, so she had to give up. After coming back, Qin Sheng was a little tired. After saying goodbye to his aunt and sister, he was ready to go upstairs to rest. It was really hard for him today. When had he ever gone shopping with a woman like this? Don't you want to know the result of tonight? Qin Ran was a little surprised that Qin Sheng did not ask anything. Qin Sheng said casually, "If there were any accidents, you would have called me long ago. Since you haven't called me yet, it means that everything is going well." Qin Ran said impatiently, "You are quite smart. No wonder you are not in a hurry." At this time, Zhao Anji told them what had happened tonight. She said, "The engagement will be held on the 18th of next month. We can announce it to the public tomorrow. At that time, it will probably shock everyone. As for what will happen next, I guess you will be very busy. Whether it is to deal with all kinds of ghosts and deities or the changes on the side of Chong, and there must be a lot of things. I hope they're all good things. Also, the marriage between Qin and Song will break the stalemate. This will touch the cake of many people. You should be careful. I am afraid that some people will take risks out of desperation," Zhao Anji said after careful consideration. This was also to be cautious. Qin Ran and Qin Sheng looked at each other and said, "Well, we know. Go ahead. You should rest. When you wake up, it will be lively tomorrow," Zhao Anji said playfully. Probably no one would have thought that the Qin family would make such a move. They all thought that the Qin family was already in a dead end, but they did not expect that the Qin family would forcibly prolong its life and come back to life. This was interesting. When Qin Ran and Qin Sheng were about to leave, Zhao Anji hurriedly stopped them and said, "By the way, I forgot to tell you another thing. You can see your father again this weekend. This time you two can go, I won't go. I will tell you the specific time." Qin Sheng and Qin Ran could not help but feel a little surprised and happy at the same time. Finally, they could see their father again, especially Qin Ran. She had not seen her father for a long time and really missed him. Late at night, sixth uncle, who had been trying to get the absolute control of Chong, and could not fall asleep. The reason was that the old man, whom even he was a little afraid of, had called him. The old man scolded sixth uncle on the phone. "Didn't you say that everything is under control? Then do you know that something big has happened now, which is enough to turn the whole situation around?" "What? The Zhu family's involvement? It seems that such a long time has passed, and there is no movement from the Zhu family." Sixth uncle did not take it seriously, thinking that the old man was still angry about the Zhu family. The old man sneered and said, "It seems that you still don't know what it is. Sixth brother, this is your ability. You really let me down." Sixth uncle was a little worried and said, "Brother, I really don't know what it is. You better tell me directly." Suddenly, the old man shouted loudly, "What is it? Why do you still ask? The Qin family and the Song family are going to unite by marriage, and you still don't know about it. I really don't know how long your ears grow. It is said that you are well informed, but I think it is all nonsense." Sixth uncle was obviously stunned. The Zhu family had made him a little tired. If the Song family joined in, there would be no way to play, and a lot of things could be turned around. Sixth uncle asked, "Brother, when did you hear this?" The old man snorted and said, "Don't care where I heard it. I just want to know what you should do. Sixth uncle refuted directly. Brother, I don't think this news is reliable. The Qin family is already in such a situation. How could the Song family unite by marriage with the Qin family? Although they are friends for generations, the Song family has never helped the Qin family from the beginning to the end. How could they suddenly unite by marriage? The old man said in a low voice, Sixth brother, you don't believe me? Sixth uncle said firmly, It's not that I don't believe you, I just don't believe this news. Wait until I find out, Sixth uncle said firmly. After that, he directly hung up the phone, not giving the old man any chance. After hanging up the phone, Sixth uncle immediately made a few calls to ask for help to inquire about the reliability of this news. However, they all said that it was too late tonight, and even if they knew the news, they had to wait until tomorrow. Therefore, Sixth uncle could only wait. The next day, Sixth uncle finally heard the news. Or it should be said that Sixth uncle did not need to wait, because the news came on its own. The Qin and the Song family were united by marriage, and the whole city knew about it. Chapter 9:33. In the early morning, the news of Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu's engagement was officially announced by the Zhu family and the Qin family to the public. In an instant, everyone in the small circle knew about it. As long as you were well informed in Sijio City, you already knew about it. If you didn't know about it, it meant that you hadn't stepped into this circle yet. Then, the news spread out at an extremely exaggerated speed. After all, it was so sudden and shocking. No one could figure out why such a plot had happened so suddenly. The Song family's behavior was somewhat unreasonable. At the same time, they admired the Qin family's resourcefulness, which was really amazing. As a result, many tycoons were not in the mood to do anything this morning. They were all talking about it, inquiring about all kinds of gossip, and deducing all kinds of possibilities from their friends. Qin Sheng and Song Ryu definitely didn't expect that they would become the topic of everyone's conversation one day. It was impossible for them not to be famous. Naturally, those who were most concerned about this matter were those who had interests related to the Chong and incident. When they heard the news, some were happy and some were worried. They were happy because they had made a correct judgment and avoided a series of subsequent problems. They were worried because they had chosen the wrong side and bet on the wrong treasure. If that had happened, they would have offended the Qin family completely. They couldn't guarantee that the Qin family would settle accounts with them in the future. Now, they could only wait and see how they could make up for their relationship. Another kind of people were the enemies of the Qin family. Now that such a strong reversal had happened, their advantage had instantly become a weakness. They didn't know what to do next at this moment. The one who was most worried should be Sixth uncle. Sixth uncle slept late last night because of a phone call from that old man, which made him restless and sleepless all night. Generally, if there were no signs of trouble, it would be impossible for such a rumor to spread. Most rumors would eventually become the truth. No matter how the parties concerned clarified and denied it, the result would still be a slap in the face. Sixth uncle was very familiar with this. Therefore, after hearing the news, Sixth uncle was a little worried. Although he said he didn't believe it, he immediately inquired about the news after hanging up the phone. However, it was already late at night, so it was not easy to inquire about the news. All parties said that they would inquire about it today and give him a reply then. Sixth uncle was used to turning off his phone when he slept. He didn't like to be disturbed when he was old. When he woke up, it was already 10 o'clock. At this time, it was already very noisy outside. Everyone was contacting Sixth uncle, including those who were asked by him to inquire about the news last night. Most people were interested in the Chong and incident. Sixth uncle was the core of this action, so they completely followed Sixth uncle's arrangement. They had never expected that things would turn out like this. When Qin Chang'an was arrested, everyone thought that the Chong and incident had been settled and that the Qin family had no ability to fight back. The next step was to completely control the Chong and family and divide the cake. However, they didn't expect that the Zhu family would suddenly jump out and interfere with the Qin family's affairs. Everyone was a little worried. During this time, they didn't dare to act rashly and kept an eye on the Zhu family. However, It seemed that the Zhu family didn't take any actual action. Everything was still calm. Everyone thought that if there was no movement for a while, they would continue with their previous plan. However, they didn't expect that the next step would be such a shocking news. The Qin family and the Song family would unite by marriage. It seemed that everyone finally understood why the Zhu family didn't take any action. It turned out that they were waiting for an ally. It turned out that their ally was actually the Song family. The Zhu family joined hands with the Song family and entered the trap. No one could afford to offend them. It seemed that the Qin family was going to make a strong counterattack. Everyone began to think about each other's way out. After sixth uncle woke up, he had a headache. He was old and couldn't stay up all night. His health was not good. After sixth uncle woke up in a daze, he heard some noise outside before he turned on his phone. He walked out slowly and found two trusted subordinates standing there and whispering. Sixth uncle shouted angrily, "What are you doing?" After the two trusted subordinates met each other's eyes, they let out a long sigh of relief and said, "Lord Sixth, you finally woke up. It's a mess outside. Many people are looking for you. They said that they couldn't get through to you." Sixth uncle liked silence. When he was sleeping, he didn't want to be disturbed. Therefore, when sixth uncle was sleeping, no one dared to provoke him. They could only wait for him to wake up naturally. Otherwise, they would be scolded or beaten up. "It's a mess? Looking for me?" Sixth uncle squinted and frowned. He didn't know what had happened at all. Therefore, he was somewhat confused and asked, "What happened? Who is looking for me?" The older middle-aged man explained, "We don't know what happened. The Su family and Ziyuan have been waiting in the living room downstairs. They wanted to break in and wake you up, but we stopped them. That's why they are waiting." Upon hearing this, sixth uncle was somewhat confused. What kind of big event could make the Su family and Ziyuan directly come to his door? This was somewhat unreasonable. Sixth uncle dared not be careless. He said that he would go downstairs immediately after washing up and asked them to wait for a few more minutes. 10 minutes later, sixth uncle finished washing up and went downstairs. He already knew what was going on outside from the phone. At this moment, sixth uncle was at a loss. The Qin and Song family were connected by marriage. The Song family actually married their famous granddaughter, Song Ruyu, to Qin Sheng of the Qin family. When he heard the news, he didn't come to his senses for a long time. Was the Song family crazy? Or did the Qin family use their great power to persuade the Song family? Song Ruyu was not an ordinary girl. She had an extremely complicated background, especially her teacher, who no one dared to offend. If the Qin and Song family were connected by marriage, and Song Ruyu married Qin Sheng, it would be a fatal blow to the Qin family. They would not only have to face the Qin family, but also the more powerful Zhu and Song families. Sixth uncle didn't believe that the Zhu family didn't play a role in this matter. Otherwise, how could the Song family easily agree? If that was really the case, who would be able to withstand such great pressure? Not to mention Ziyuan's family and the Su family. Even sixth uncle had to retreat. Then what would the others think? Who could afford to offend the Song family and the Zhu family? They would probably have to lower their heads and admit defeat. It could be said that this news completely changed the situation. Not only would it change the fate of the Qin family, but it might also change the fate of Qin Chang'an. Sixth uncle really didn't know what to do, but he had to face it in the end. This was an unchangeable fact. At the top of the stairs, sixth uncle saw 3 men sitting in the living room. It was within his expectation that Ziyuan would come to him as soon as such a big thing happened. Just now, he saw 6 or 7 missed calls from Ziyuan on his phone. He knew that Ziyuan was as panicked as he was. They were the vanguard to deal with the Qin family. Now that the Zhu and Song families were involved, they must have known the roles they played in it. Sixth uncle didn't expect that the Su family would send Su Xingwei. He didn't know what the Qin family meant. They sent only Su Xingwei, not to discuss things. Could it be that the Su family wanted to avoid the trouble and distance themselves from the Qin family? Sixth uncle didn't expect that the Su family sent Su Xingwei here. He didn't know what the Qin family meant by sending him here. Could it be that the Su family had something to hide? The last one was the man who came with the old man that day. Seeing this man, sixth uncle felt a little stressed. It seemed that the old man was angry. Last night, he swore that it was impossible. This morning, the news came out. His face was almost swollen. The old man just made a phone call and directly sent someone here. Was he going to show his cards? Sixth uncle slowly went downstairs with heavy footsteps. When others saw him, they immediately stood up and greeted him. Sixth uncle, you've finally woken up. The outside world is in complete chaos. The Song family and the Qin family are actually connected by marriage. Is this King crazy? Zhe Yuan had lost his sense of propriety and spoke without thinking. No one had expected such a scene to occur. Sixth uncle said calmly, I already know. Although I didn't expect it, since it happened, we can only face it. How to face it? Sixth uncle, tell me what to do. My family is now waiting for my reply. If I don't handle this well, then I'll completely lose my power in the family, said Zhe Yuan with an ugly expression. He only had 3 days. If he didn't handle it well in 3 days, the elders would take away his power. Sixth uncle didn't speak. He didn't know how to deal with it, so he couldn't give Zhe Yuan a clear answer. He could only look at Su Xingwei and said, say it. Sixth master, I want you to give me a reasonable explanation. Su Xingwei braced himself and said. Just now, he had cursed Qin Sheng countless times in his heart. How could this bastard have such a life? He must be so lucky that he was going to marry Song Ruyu. Song Ruyu was the goddess that countless people dreamed of. Whoever married Song Ruyu would have to work less hard for many years. He really didn't know what the Song family was thinking. Didn't Song Hushing always look down on Qin Sheng? Sixth uncle snorted. Why don't your elders come? Sixth uncle, do you think this is a good time? Everyone is staring at this matter. I'm afraid it's not convenient for them to show up, Su Xingwei said helplessly. Sixth uncle thought for a while and replied, then go back and tell them that I will give them a reasonable explanation. Just let them wait. Sixth uncle this. Su Xingwei was a little embarrassed. It was obvious that sixth uncle was perfunctory. It would be difficult for him to explain when he went back. At this time, sixth uncle looked at the man again and asked with some relief, what do you want from me? The old man, who was almost 60 years old, squinted at sixth uncle and said disdainfully, Old master invites you to go there. I hope you won't make things difficult for me. Are you threatening me? Sixth uncle was a little annoyed. The man said calmly, it's not a threat. I already said please. It's up to you whether you want to go or not. After a moment of silence, sixth uncle replied, so what? The man took a few steps back and made a gesture of invitation. Sixth uncle ignored the others and left directly. Chapter 9:34. Uncle's allies didn't know what to do with such a piece of news. It was obvious how destructive it was. The Zhu family's intervention had made the situation complicated. No one dared to act rashly. They all wanted to divide the Chong and family and the Qin family's actions after confirming the Zhu family's idea. However, they didn't expect that such explosive news would come out before the Zhu family's problem was solved. The Song family also intervened in the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family. The Zhu family was already very difficult to deal with, and now the Song family was also here. How could they play? As long as they had a brain, they would have to change their strategy. Otherwise, if they offended these two families, they would not have a good ending. Moreover, the current environment was already very difficult. Sixth uncle could keep the Zhe Yuan family in check first. Moreover, Zhe Yuan's words were important in the family, so there wouldn't be any trouble in a short time. Sixth uncle could ignore the Su family and give an answer later. However, he couldn't evade the old man, because the old man's resources and power could not be underestimated. Especially at this time, he had to rely on the old man's strength. Therefore, sixth uncle finally calmed Zhe Yuan and Su Xingwei down. He told them to go home and explain to each other. Then he left with the man. Early in the morning, in the Qin family's West Mountain villa, everyone seemed to be in a good mood today. After breakfast, they actually played mahjong in the multi-purpose recreation room downstairs. After 9 o'clock, Zhao Anji's phone began to ring. The urgent ringtone broke the silence here. However, Zhao Anji didn't answer it. Instead, she muted it and continued to play mahjong. Everyone knew what was going on. After Zhao Anji came back last night, She had arranged for the Qin family to officially announce the news at 9 o'clock sharp. At this time, the news had already begun to ferment. The first group of people who knew the news would naturally contact the Qin family directly. Of course, most of these people were close to the Qin family, or they had kept silent before, but now they had to say something. Then Qin Ran's phone also rang. It should be her friends or old friends who were close to Qin Chang'an. After all, Zhao Anji hadn't been in China for many years. Naturally, many people didn't know her. Qin Chang'an was not here, so they could only call Qin Ran. Qin Ran glanced at the others and didn't say anything. She switched her phone to silent mode and continued to play mahjong. The Qin family had been sullen for so long. Finally, it was time for them to fight back. They would let this news continue to ferment. They didn't have to rush to respond. When everyone knew the news, they would know what to do. In the end, Qin Sheng's cell phone rang. When he saw the name on the screen, he was stunned subconsciously. He did not expect that the first person to call him would be Xue Qingyan. Qin Sheng panicked instantly. He did not expect that Xue Qingyan would know the news so soon. Qin Sheng did not have the temper to refuse. After hesitating for a while, he finally chose to answer the call. Therefore, Chang Baji took over Qin Sheng's position. While playing mahjong, Qin Sheng walked out of the room with his mobile phone. In the office by the Huangpu River, Xue Qingyan's face was extremely ugly. She stared at the phone. She would not take the initiative to hang up until the ringtone was over. She just wanted to know what kind of character this man was. Was he a coward or daring to take responsibility for what he had done? Xue Qingyan did not expect that the first news she received in the early morning would be so shocking. She had not come back to her senses until now. When she heard the news, she subconsciously refused to believe it until the big boss said that the news was spreading wildly in the whole Siju city. Moreover, this news was announced by the Qin family to the public. The Song family had also admitted it. It couldn't be a rumor. The big boss also knew the relationship between her and Qin Sheng, so he called her immediately. He originally wanted to ask her if she had arrived in advance. Now it seemed that she didn't know at all. Xue Qingyan was a little confused. How could this be? When she went to Beijing some time ago, she didn't find any clues. When she asked Lin Su a few days ago, Lin Su didn't say anything. But then Xue Qingyan understood. She finally knew why Lin Su's state was so bad during this period. It turned out that Lin Su already knew. It turned out that Qin Sheng had abandoned Lin Su, and Lin Su was shouldering everything alone. She silently suffered these injuries and pain. She did not tell anyone, nor did she complain to anyone. She just suffered like this. However, Lin Su was pregnant. She was pregnant with Qin Sheng's child. How could Qin Sheng do such a heartless thing? Didn't his conscience hurt? Didn't he feel guilty? This woman had done so much for him. She was even pregnant with his child. Was he still a human? How wrong Lin Su was. How painful Lin Su was. Thinking of this, Xue Qingyan was extremely angry. She had to call Qin Sheng. Even if Lin Su knew and scolded him, she had to make this call. She must ask Qin Sheng clearly. Why did he do this? Xue Qingyan didn't care about her relationship with Qin Sheng at all. She only cared about Qin Sheng and Lin Su. She must seek justice for Lin Su. When the phone was about to end, Qin Sheng finally answered the phone. He had already guessed that Xue Qingyan must have called because of this matter, so he didn't know how to explain. He was not qualified to explain. No matter what Xue Qingyan said or scolded him, he would not explain anything. Why don't you say anything? When the phone was connected, Xue Qingyan waited for Qin Sheng to speak, but there was no sound. In the end, Xue Qingyan had to take the initiative to speak. Qin Sheng said helplessly, I don't know what to say. Haha, I thought you wouldn't answer my call. Xue Qingyan sneered. Qin Sheng said a little awkwardly, Sister, you already know. It's such a big thing. Even if I don't know now, I will know sooner or later. Are you waiting for my call? Xue Qingyan originally wanted to scold Qin Sheng after the call was connected. But after the call was connected, all the words she prepared disappeared. Maybe it was because of her relationship with Qin Sheng. She hoped that Qin Sheng could give her a reasonable explanation. I'm sorry, sister. I let you down. I also let Lin Su down. I'm sorry. Qin Sheng said sorry twice in a row. He really let Lin Su down. This was the most fundamental thought in his heart. He was not running away from anything. Xue Qingyin gnashed her teeth and said, "You didn't let me down. You only let Lin Su down. Do you know how much she has done for you? Do you know how much she has sacrificed for you? Do you know?" Xue Qingyin almost said that, but she held it back. She didn't know how to say it. "I know. I owe her in this life." Qin Sheng could only say so. Xue Qingyin asked, "Why did you do this?" "Why?" "Sister, I had no choice. For the Qin family, I had to do this." Qin Sheng explained honestly. Xue Qingyin laughed and said, "For the Qin family? For the Qin family, you can abandon Lin Su? For the Qin family, you can do this? Or are you just doing it for yourself?" "Sister, I'm not that kind of person." Qin Sheng smiled bitterly. Xue Qingyin didn't know how to say this to Qin Sheng over the phone. If she really wanted to say something, she must make it clear to Qin Sheng face to face. Especially that thing. She must tell Qin Sheng face to face. In this way, it was possible to save everything. But would Lin Su agree? Even if Qin Sheng knew, what would he do? Xue Qingyin had a lot of concerns. But she was most worried about Lin Su. She was really afraid that something bad would happen to Lin Su. Seeing that Xue Qingyin didn't say anything, Qin Sheng had to say, "Sister, take care of Lin Su for me. I owe you a favor. As for what I owe Lin Su, I will pay it back slowly. If I can't pay it back in 10 years, I will pay it back in 20 years. If I can't pay it back in 20 years, I will pay it back for the rest of my life." This was Qin Sheng's most sincere thought. He just wanted to make it up to Lin Su. As long as he could make Lin Su live a better life, or reduce the guilt in his heart. Hearing this, Xue Qingyin was even angrier. "Pay it back? What do you have to pay it back? Can you afford it?" Qin Sheng was a little confused, but he just thought that Xue Qingyin might be fighting for Lin Su. "Forget it. We will talk about it when I see you. When you know everything, you could decide what to do." Xue Qingyin could only say this. She must go to Beijing to see Qin Sheng. She must make it clear to Qin Sheng face to face. Whether Lin Su agreed or not, she must make it clear to Qin Sheng. As for the final result, she didn't care anymore. Now she just wanted to vent for Lin Su. She didn't want Lin Su to be so wronged. Before Qin Sheng understood what she meant, Xue Qingyin had hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, Xue Qingyin directly booked a ticket to Beijing. She didn't have time to see Lin Su, but she had already arranged people to keep an eye on Lin Su. She was afraid that something bad would happen to Lin Su, because she didn't know whether Lin Su knew about it or not. If she didn't know about it before, now she suddenly knew. If Lin Su couldn't bear the pressure and did something stupid, the loss would outweigh the gain. Chapter 9:35. More and more people knew about this explosive news. No one could figure out why the Song family made such a decision. Considering the background of the Song family, there were too many rich and powerful families in Sijia City to choose from. Moreover, Song Ryu was so excellent that many families and young talents coveted her for a long time. There was no need for the Qin family to choose the declining Qin family. Even if the Qin family and the Song family were old friends, so what? Could it be that the rich playboy of the Qin family had successfully pursued the goddess of the Song family through his own efforts? The possibility was not high. Everyone knew that Song Ryu was arrogant and looked down on many young talents in Sijia City. How could she fall in love with Qin Sheng? Moreover, Qin Sheng had just come back to Sijia City and spent most of his time in Shanghai. How could he win her heart? No matter how they thought about it, they still couldn't figure it out. However, no matter how they thought about it, it was already the truth. Those big shots involved in the Qin family should think about the next countermeasures. They should not act until they paid the price. It would be too late then. The Yang family was one of them. With their connections, it was easy for them to get the news. Yang, he went to find his uncle immediately. Unexpectedly, his uncle was not in the community. It seemed that he was drinking tea with his friends in a tea house outside. Yang, he ran to his uncle in a hurry. When he arrived, his uncle's friend had just left, so Yang, he didn't have to worry about anything. "Uncle, Song Ryu is going to marry Qin Sheng." The Qin family and the Song family are going to unite by marriage, Yang Yi said as soon as he sat down. Yang Tong took a sip of tea and replied, I already know. The Zhu family is really generous. They can even do such a thing. What? Uncle, you mean it's the Zhu family's doing? Yang Yi was confused. Yang Tong said disdainfully, besides the Zhu family, who else do you think it is? The Qin family? If the Qin family had this ability, they would have solved it when Qin Chang'an was still alive, and they would not have waited until today. Grandma Zhu suddenly came back to Jing City. I knew it was not that simple. I was waiting for the Zhu family's further action. They didn't let me down. After hearing this, Yang Yi thought deeply for a few seconds and felt that it seemed to be as his uncle said. The Qin family's turnaround all began after old lady Zhu returned to the capital. With the power of the Zhu family, it was indeed possible to achieve this. The Song family is betting the fate of the family on the side of the Zhu family. I reckon that the Zhu family will advance further in the future. Otherwise, the Song family would not have made such a choice, Yang Tong said quietly. These were all his analysis. Yang Yi seemed to understand and asked in a low voice, Uncle, do you mean that the eldest son of a Zhu family may work for another 4 years, and the one in Shanghai will go further? Yang Tong just responded and continued to drink tea. Yang Yi said thoughtfully, Then I understand. I can only say that Qin Sheng has a good mother. But I don't understand why Song Ruyu agreed. She doesn't look like the kind of woman who would choose a political marriage. Even if the Song family pressured her, if she really didn't want to, she could have used her teacher. I don't know about that. Anyway, it's already a fact. It's meaningless to pursue it. Yang Tong was too lazy to think about these meaningless things. Yang Yi didn't have time to drink tea. After a moment of silence, he asked, Uncle, what do you think we should do? Continue to remain neutral? Continue to remain neutral at this time? What's the point for our family? I guess that sixth uncle must have a headache now. Many people will give up. Who dares to face opponents like the Song family and the Zhu family is nothing more than courting death. Even if they're not now, they will still settle accounts later, because they are all going downhill. Yang Tong got to the point and analyzed. Yang Yifu echoed, Uncle, you are right. So, you mean we should directly choose the Qin family this time? The Qin family wants our shares, right? They have now lost their power in the Chong and system. If they want to regain control of the Chong and system, they need our shares. We can give them the shares, even at a discount. Even if the Qin family doesn't want it, we can still support them. And we must do it quickly. I'm afraid that others will think the same as us. Yang Tong squinted and said, At this time, whoever could see the truth behind the fog and make a decision first will be able to seize the first opportunity. Yang Yi said with interest, As long as we're the first family, the Qin family will not forget us in the future. We owe them a favor. You are smart. Yang Tong glanced at his nephew and said, Yang Yi said without hesitation, I am going to contact the Qin family now. You don't need to contact them. We will directly visit them. That is our sincerity. It is not a big deal to bow our heads. As long as we can maximize the benefits, it is okay. Yang Tong was astute. It was just a visit. Zhao Anji had visited him before. Yang Yi could not help but admire his first uncle's courage. The Yang family had already taken action. What about other families? The Li family, who had a good relationship with the Qin family, was the first to be restless. After old lady Zhu returned to the capital, the Li family had already parted ways with sixth uncle. At that time, they had some reservations. Because the Li family was not bad in all aspects, they still had a chance to move forward in the future. However, if they offended the Zhu family, they would be under great pressure. That was why the Li family made such a decision. Now, such a piece of news had broken out. The Li family had already regretted their choice of sixth uncle. Everyone could see clearly what was going on. The Qin family was going to make a comeback. After all, although Qin Chang'an had been arrested, the outcome had not been decided yet. Now that the Zhu family and the Song family were involved, the outcome was not certain. Therefore, the Li family was a little anxious now. Anyway, they had already offended sixth uncle, so they were not afraid to offend them again. Moreover, What could they do to the Li family? However, the Zhu family and the Song family could really control the Li family's future. The Li family could only make up for their mistakes now. The Li family and the Yang family had the same idea. That was, the Qin family wanted to control the Chang'an family. The Li family was a major shareholder. As long as the Li family supported the Qin family could directly take back the control. Because the other families had remained neutral, the Qin family shares had been higher than sixth uncles with their support. Therefore, the Li family knew what to do. After making up their minds, the Li family did not hesitate to contact the Qin family. However, they could not get through to those members of the Qin family. It seemed that they were deliberately ignoring them. The Li family did not dare to delay. This kind of thing could be done sooner. So they also went to find the Qin family. The two major shareholders, the Li family and the Yang family, had already taken action. So how could the other two minor shareholders not take action? Therefore, with just a simple piece of news, the Qin family regained control of the situation. On the contrary, sixth uncle and the others were forced into a passive position. When Qin Sheng came back after the call, he did not look very good. Xue Qingyin's words put him in a bad mood. He knew that Xue Qingyin would know it sooner or later. He also thought that he would be scolded by Xue Qingyin at that time. However, he did not expect that she would know it so soon. Now that Xue Qingyin wanted to come to Beijing directly, Qin Sheng did have a headache about how to face her. But already what could he do now that things had come to this? He could only face it calmly. Even if Xue Qingyin did not recognize him in the future, he could only do so. Qin Sheng, what's wrong? Who called? After Qin Sheng returned, Qin Ran noticed that something was wrong with Qin Sheng, so she took the initiative to ask. Qin Sheng smiled and explained, "It's nothing. It's a call from my roommate in college. He said that an old man in his family is not in good health and wants to come to Beijing to see a doctor. He wants to find time to get together with me." Qin Sheng did not want others to worry, so he could only use such an excuse to fool them. The others were dubious, but they did not continue to ask. Zhao Anji's and Qin Ran's phones kept ringing, but they did not answer it. No matter who called, they would not answer it today, because they all knew what this news meant. Amateurs just watch the fun, while experts know the ropes. They were all old foxes who had been in Sijio City for so many years. How could they not understand this point? Qin Sheng won a few $100s on purpose. The one who lost the most was naturally Qin Jing, who was not good at playing. However, this amount of money was nothing to Qin Jing. After Qin Jing came back, Qin Chang'an gave her a lot of pocket money. He also secretly prepared a dowry for Qin Jing. Maybe he already knew his ending at that time. Qin Sheng's eyes lit up. Qin Chang'an's eyes lit up. Qin Sheng's eyes lit up. However, just when they were about to go for lunch, two uninvited guests came to the Qin family's West Mountain villa. These uninvited guests were the two men from the Yang family. After being notified by the security guard at the entrance of the community, the Qin family looked at each other. It seemed that the Yang family did not call them, but they directly came to visit them. It seemed that the Yang family was really capable. Qin Ran looked at Zhao Anji and asked, "Auntie, do you want to see them?" Zhao Anji admired the Yang family's courage. Obviously, they already knew the news of the Qin family and the Song family's marriage, and the Yang family had made a choice after weighing the pros and cons, which was to give up neutrality and choose the Qin family. However, she did not know how sincere the Yang family would be today. At least for now, the Qin family was not in a hurry to need the Yang family's shares. They still had to continue to wait for other families to make a decision. Zhao Anji smiled and said, "Yes, why not? Since they are here, they are guests. Our Qin family still has this way of treating guests." As a result, the Qin family's lunch was temporarily postponed. The rest of the Qin family were waiting for the two distinguished guests from the Yang family in the living room. After a while, Yang Tong stepped into the living room of the Qin family with his nephew, Yang Yi. Zhao Anji greeted them with a smile and said, "Wow, rare guests, really rare guests. I didn't expect that you would come." Yang Tong smiled and said, "Sister Zhao, I haven't seen you for a few days. You look much younger. I like what you said. You came at the right time. Lunch is already on the table. Let's eat together." Zhao Anji continued to greet the two people from the Yang family politely. Yang Tong waved his hand and said, "Sister Zhao, we won't eat lunch. We just want to talk to you about something. Is it convenient?" "It's not inconvenient. Let's go to the second floor." Zhao Anji agreed directly because she did not want to go through too many formalities. The more direct the Yang family was, the better. As a result, Zhao Anji led Yang Tong and Yang Yi to the second floor. Qin Sheng followed closely behind and greeted Yang Yi with a smile. Qin Ren hesitated for a moment and did not follow them. She just waited downstairs for the result. At the same time, the sixth uncle had already met the old man who made him quite afraid. Compared with the harmonious atmosphere here, the sixth uncle was somewhat depressed. The old man did not give him a good look. Chapter 9:36. Previously, the Qin family had internal and external troubles. After the incident of old lady Zhu's return to Jing City, the Li family was the first to quit, leaving the mess to others. Sixth uncle was annoyed at that time, but things were still under control. However, after the news of the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family broke out, sixth uncle couldn't sit still anymore. Obviously, Zhe Yuan's family and the Su family were in a panic. Otherwise, they wouldn't have sent Zhe Yuan and Su Xingwei to find him early in the morning. If he didn't handle it well, these two families might also quit after the Li family. At that time, he would really be alone and helpless, which would be really miserable. At the same time, the old man, who was the biggest behind-the-scenes manipulator against the Qin family and the Chong and family, and also the ally that sixth uncle relied on the most, was also a little angry. The old man naturally understood what this news meant. It was equivalent to giving the Qin family a chance to breathe and turn around. Compared with others who just wanted to control the Chong and family, they would at most make Qin Chang'an have no chance to come out. However, the old man wanted to put the Qin family in a dead end and make it impossible for the Qin family to make a comeback. Therefore, after hearing this news, the old man was extremely angry and full of complaints about sixth uncle. He felt that this was completely caused by sixth uncle's incompetence. If he had listened to him at that time and taken down the Qin family as fast as lightning, today's situation wouldn't have happened. At this moment, the old man was sitting in the pavilion, holding bait in his hand and feeding the fish. There were a lot of koi in the medium-sized lake, many of which were very expensive. The cheapest one cost tens of thousands of yuan. The more expensive ones were the famous night butterfly and lulan. Most of them were crown tricolor and Matsumoto tricolor. It could be seen how much the old man liked to raise koi. Perhaps, as a popular saying among the contemporary young people, forwarding koi could bring good luck. When sixth uncle came over, the old man had already heard the noise, but he didn't turn around to greet him. He continued to feed the fish calmly, as if these fish were more important than anything else. Sixth uncle didn't disturb the old man. He sat behind and enjoyed the old man's elegant mood. Of course, he knew the value of these koi. It was said that the old man's small courtyard was designed by a top classical master. The interior decoration alone cost hundreds of millions of yuan, which showed how high the old man's wealth was. Secondly, the old man was very picky. When the bait in the old man's hand was about to run out, sixth uncle shouted at the right time, "Brother, you are in a good mood. Old Six, you still have the face to see me." When the old man heard this, he put down the box in his hand and laughed instead of being angry. At this time, sixth uncle slowly stood up, walked to the old man, and said, "Brother, are you also looking for me because of the news just now?" "Sixth brother? Didn't you not believe me? Didn't you say it was impossible? Didn't you say that I would wait for you to investigate? Then give me an explanation now. I've given you many chances, but you've disappointed me every time." "Old Sixth, oh, Old Sixth, is that all you've got?" The old man asked several questions, not giving sixth uncle any chance to retort. In the end, he even used that one sentence to humiliate sixth uncle. Hearing this, sixth uncle's expression changed. He was the descendant of a famous family, and he was the famous sixth uncle of Siju City. When he was young, he was also one of the best of his generation. When had he ever been humiliated like this? However, in front of the old man, he had been ridiculed and ridiculed many times. Sixth uncle did not lose his temper at all, because the old man's family was the one who had destroyed the Qin family and several other families behind the scenes. As for those who were familiar with or knew this old man, they would all address him as Elder Long. However, those who knew him were already in the minority, let alone those who were familiar with him. Back then, the old man's family had also suffered a great loss after that incident. Later, they gradually hid behind the scenes, relying on the resources saved by several generations to train agents. Now, just a few agents trained by his family were already very powerful. One could imagine how powerful Elder Long's family was. It was just that they knew what they should do and what they shouldn't do. Every time, they could always seize the opportunity in history and did not touch things that they should not touch. That was why they had achieved what they had today. If it had not been for the rise of the Qin family, Elder Long's family probably would not have shown up again. It would have been enough for them to make a fortune in silence. In the current situation in the country, big and powerful families like them were the easiest to be suppressed. However, because of the rise of the Qin family, Elder Long's family had to show up. Especially after a series of things happened after Qin Chang'an bought the hotel in New York, Elder Long's family finally realized the crisis. If they did not take action, the Qin family would really rise. At that time, the Qin family would take revenge on them. After all, the two families had a deep hatred for each other in the past. Qin Chang'an's wife was killed by their family. Another reason was the existence of the Zhu family. Although Elder Long's family and the Zhu family did not have much contact, Qin Chang'an's wife was the daughter of the Zhu family after all, and the daughter of the Zhu family was killed by Elder Long's family. If the Zhu family knew that they were the real culprits behind the scenes, what would the Zhu family do? Probably everyone knew the answer without thinking. Moreover, the Zhu family was now a towering tree. Needless to say, Zhu Weigu's status was high. Zhu Changshun, who was in Shanghai, was still young. As long as he did not make any big mistakes, his career would continue to move forward. At that time, nobody would dare to provoke the Zhu family. A series of reasons led Elder Long's family to weigh the pros and cons and argue for several months. Finally, they decided to stop the Qin family. As a result, the Qin family had a series of disturbances, and Sixth Uncle was their ally. Sixth Uncle chuckled and said, "Brother, nothing goes so smoothly." No one expected that the Zhu family and the Song family would really get involved. You didn't expect it at that time, did you? Moreover, it is just a piece of news. It has not become a fact yet. It is not necessarily impossible to stop it. It is a little too early to make a conclusion now. The purpose of Sixth Uncle's visit today was very simple. He could not lower his head in front of Elder Long. Once he did so, he would lose all the resources which would not be worth a loss. Only by gaining the trust of Elder Long could he have a last laugh. The old man, Elder Long, asked in reply, "Do you mean that you have a way?" Sixth Uncle answered truthfully, "Even if I have no way, I will try my best. I can't just surrender, can I?" Elder Long continued to ask, "What about your allies? I'm afraid that they don't believe you anymore. Do you think you can turn the situation around with your abilities?" Elder Long asked. Elder Long continued to ask, "Brother, you don't need to worry about this. That is my way. They have already come this far, and it is impossible for them to get off the boat. I think they will not get off the boat in this way. After all, they have offended the Qin family and so on. Only by doing their best can they have a last laugh." Elder Long said gloomily, "Okay, then I will give you one last chance. If you still disappoint me, sixth brother, at that time, I will have to use my own way. Don't stop me anymore." Elder Long smiled. Elder Long's way was very simple, which was to kill the Qin family at all costs. The plot against Qin Chang'an was originally designed by Elder Long, and Sixth Uncle was just the executor. In the end, Sixth Uncle tried his best to stop him, saying that it was just a warning. Otherwise, he might really kill Qin Chang'an that night, which would really cause a sensation. As for what price he would pay, Elder Long did not care anymore. As for the plot against Qin Sheng, Sixth Uncle also wanted to kill him. Unfortunately, there was an accident in the end. In the end, The two killers hired with a high price were killed by Elder Long. Hearing this, Sixth Uncle's eyes flickered. The Song family and the Zhu family had already been involved in the plot. If Elder Long still insisted on doing this, it was estimated that none of them would be able to escape. The Zhu family and the Song family were not vegetarians. They would definitely not spare them. So Sixth Uncle said in a hurry, "Elder Long, unless it is absolutely necessary, we should not do this." Elder Long did not give up. He said, "That depends on whether you can satisfy me or not. If you always disappoint me, I will not care about these things anymore. At that time, you can only look after yourselves." After saying this, Elder Long waved his hand to signal that they should leave. This was definitely the last chance he would give to Sixth Uncle. If he could not seize it, he could not blame anyone else. In the living room on the second floor of the Qin family's villa in West Mountain, the two from the Yang family were negotiating with Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng. At this time, they had not entered the main topic yet. Yang, he did not speak much. Most of the time, it was his first uncle who did the talking. He just quietly looked at Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng, especially Qin Sheng. It did not occur to him that this man would marry the goddess of the Song family without saying a word. This was really unexpected. It seemed that he had underestimated Qin Sheng. From the moment he entered the door, Yang, he had been observing the members of the Qin family. Apart from Qin Sheng, Qin Ran was the one who had the most interactions. Qin Ran was also quite famous in Siju City. She could be considered as a socialite in Siju City. What he was more curious about was that Qin Ran was still unmarried. It was said that she had almost gotten together with Song Hushing. If they had really gotten together at that time, perhaps the Qin family would not be in such a situation today. It was a pity that Qin Ran and Song Hushing's characters were not compatible. They could not get along with each other at all. They even argued in public several times. Later, this matter was left unsettled. Perhaps the two families also knew that they were not suitable for each other, so they did not continue to play matchmaker. It did not occur to him that Qin Sheng and Song Ruyu would be together today. Yang Yi somewhat envied Qin Sheng. If he had been able to marry Song Ruyu at that time, it would definitely have been a great help to the Yang family. Song Ruyu had a lot of hidden resources behind her, which would definitely have saved him at least 10 years of hard work. Perhaps he would also have gone into an official career, because that would have maximized his benefits. It was a pity that he did not have this life, so he could only envy, jealousy, and hate Qin Sheng. While Yang, he was distracted, Yang Tong gradually got to the point. He said with a smile, "Sister Zhao, didn't the Qin family want to get the shares of the Yang family in Chong and before? After careful consideration, we felt that if the Qin family really wanted it, we could become the beauty of the Qin family, and our Yang family could also get a certain financial return. I wonder if the Qin family is still interested in it now?" After Yang Tong finished speaking, Zhao Anji looked at Qin Sheng with a faint smile. As expected, he had come to ask about this. It seemed that the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family had shocked the Yang family so much that it directly changed the Yang family's decision. Unfortunately, the Qin family might not need it now. Consequently, Zhao Anji intended to politely refuse. Chapter 9:37. There was a word called stretching. When the situation was complicated and unclear, the more they stretched, the more they could maximize their benefits. The Qin family had been stretching from the initial disadvantage to the current advantage, so they had a new turning point. If the Qin family hadn't held on and had surrendered long ago, perhaps the Qin family would be in even more trouble now, because you never knew what cards the opponent had hidden behind them. In the face of absolute benefits, most good intentions hid conspiracies. Now, the Qin family had to continue to stretch because they had just gained an advantage. Although the Yang family had taken the initiative to visit and compromise, and sent such a big gift, the Qin family would not accept it. Although they also knew the Yang family's purpose, since the Yang family had already submitted their sincerity, how could the other families not do the same? Therefore, the Qin family had to continue to wait for the other families to make corresponding responses, and then they would deal with it according to the situation. The Qin family would choose the one who was more sincere, because the Qin family had the initiative. The Qin family did want the Yang family's shares, but it was not now. The Qin family had to wait, so Zhao Anji smiled and said, Yang Tong, you also know that the Qin family is in a difficult situation now. We really need the shares in your hands, but the Qin family can't take out so much money in a short time. We have to discuss this. Besides, if you sell the shares to us, aren't you afraid of offending sixth uncle? Since the two sides were already sitting here, Zhao Anji did not need to be afraid of anything, so she spoke more straightforwardly. Yang Tong said happily, Sister Zhao, the Yang family and the Qin family used to be very close, and the relationship between the two families is quite deep. Now that the Qin family is in such a difficult situation, the Yang family must help. As for sixth uncle, we don't have much contact with him. Besides, this is the Yang family's business. Why should we care about what others think? Although the Yang family is not the Yang family in the past, the Yang family does not need to do things according to others' feelings. If they really bully the Yang family, we may not be afraid. What Yang Tong said was right, but he would never mention that the Yang family changed their position today because of the marriage between the Qin family and the Song family. As for the friendship between the Qin family and the Yang family, there was indeed some friendship in the past, or the Yang family would not exist in the Chong and system. However, the Yang family used to be closer to sixth uncle. After all, they were descendants of revolutionary achievements. Yang Yi said timely, Aunt Zhao, we all know the internal affairs of the Chong and system. It was established by Master Qin. The Yang family has benefited a lot these years, and it is time to return. As long as we get the shares, the Qin family can firmly control the Chong and system. With the Chong and family would never have a crisis again, and the Qin family would have a Chong system. Qin Sheng looked at Yang Yi and said, if the Qin family really wants to split the shares from the Yang family, how will the Yang family bid? Don't worry, Qin family. The Yang family will definitely give a friendly price that both parties can accept, Yang Yi said with fervor and assurance. He was qualified to talk business with Qin Sheng. Qin, Yang Qin Yu, Qin T. Yi family, Yang T. 2. Yang family, Yang family more. 1. He was qualified to talk about business with Qin Sheng. Haha, this is a bit vague. We still want to be specific so that we can raise funds. Otherwise, we will be delayed. The Yang family was afraid that the Qin family would not offer a price. As long as the Qin family was willing to offer a price, the Yang family would certainly show their sincerity. Yang Yi looked at his first uncle and confirmed his meaning. Then he replied, this price is absolutely satisfactory. It is lower than the lowest price we agreed before. There is room for negotiation. What do you think? Not to mention Qin Sheng, even Zhao Anji was a little surprised after hearing this. She did not expect that the Yang family really came with sincerity. This price was beyond their expectations, and there was still room for reduction. It could be seen that the Yang family was determined to stand on the side of the Qin family this time. Zhao Anji did not give a clear answer. She just said, well, the Yang family is really sincere, but we have to discuss it again and see if we can raise the funds. After all, it is not a small amount. Yang Tong said calmly, it is different now. The Qin family needs money, and I think it is easy to find it. Everyone could roughly understand what he meant. Zhao Anji laughed and said, who knows? Since they had finished talking, it was time for the uncle and nephew of the Yang family to leave. Before leaving, Yang Tong gave the Qin family another big gift. He said slowly, Sister Zhao, I know that the Qin family has no right to speak in Chong and now, so I propose to immediately hold a shareholders' meeting to elect new members of the board of directors. Before our two families reach an agreement, the Yang family will stand on the side of the Qin family without hesitation. What do you think? Hearing this news, Zhao Anji was somewhat moved. She restrained her inner joy and said, well, in this case, I really appreciate the Yang family. For the future of Chong, and we should go forward hand in hand. Yang Tong laughed and said, Sister Zhao, lunch has been over for a long time. We will not disturb your lunch. Let's contact each other later. Let's get together in the future. Okay, I will walk you out, Zhao Anji said politely. When they came down from the second floor, the others in the living room felt that the atmosphere was very harmonious because both sides were full of smiles. They continued to chat while walking. It seemed that they had a good chat today. When Yang Yi went out, he said to Qin Sheng, "Congratulations." Qin Sheng was stunned for a while before he understood what he meant. He smiled and said, "Thank you. Let's have a drink some other day." Yang Yi took the initiative to say. Qin Sheng replied, "Sure." After seeing off the uncle and nephew of the Yang family, Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng slowly walked back to the villa. Zhao Anji said to Qin Sheng seriously, "Sheng, this is the reality of Sijio City. Strength is respected, and interests come first. Do you understand?" Qin Sheng did not say anything. Of course, he knew what any meant. For the Qin family, the benefits brought by the marriage between him and Song Ryu were absolutely beyond imagination. On the way back, Yang Tong and Yang Yi continued to talk about today's meeting. Yang Yi was somewhat confused and said, "Uncle, we have shown enough sincerity. It seems that the Qin family is not in a hurry. They're just pretending. Do you know why?" Yang Tong replied with a question. Yang Yi was puzzled and asked why. "That's because besides us, other families must be anxious. How can a Qin family not know? Therefore, they have to wait for other families to see whose sincerity is greater. However, the sincerity of our Yang family is definitely not comparable to that of others." Yang Tong was very confident. He was a person who would not hesitate once he made up his mind. Therefore, he would not bargain with the Qin family for the sake of a little bit of interest. He directly offered a price that the Qin family could not refuse. The Qin family was not a stingy family. They naturally understood the sincerity of the Yang family. After Yang Yi understood, he replied, "It seems that we can only continue to wait." "Wait, don't be anxious. As long as we can get out of this unscathed, it's okay. Therefore, even if the Qin family tries to bargain, we can also bargain. I'm afraid that the Qin family will be ambiguous and our Yang family will be out of this quagmire," Yang Tong said meaningfully, because even he could not understand many things. In order to avoid the unknown crisis, the best solution was to stay away from this mess. Who knew whether the fight between masters would bring disaster to the fish pond in the end? In the West Mountain villa of the Qin family, after Zhao Anji and Qin Ran returned to the living room, Qin Ran could not wait to ask how it was. Qin Sheng repeated what had happened. Qin Ran was very surprised after hearing it. She was not surprised that the Yang family came back, but she did not expect the Yang family to be so sincere. This was something that no one had expected. "Andy, what should we do?" Qin Ran followed and asked. Zhao Anji looked at Qin Sheng and said, "Sheng, what do you think?" Qin Sheng said firmly, "We must be prepared for both sides. The Yang family must be respected. Then we will wait for the reaction of other families before making a decision. Secondly, let Aunt Chong and Uncle Hao prepare to take over the Chong and system again. This time, we can't give the sixth uncle any chance." This was a rare opportunity for the Qin family, and they must seize it. Therefore, Qin Ren immediately contacted Chong Sini and Hao Mingyi, asking them to go to the West Mountain Villa as soon as possible. During this period, Hao Mingyi and Chong Sini were in charge of the legal team. After all, they were more professional. Although they had not resigned from the Chong and system completely, they had long been removed from the management. When they received Qin Ran's call, they did not know that Qin Sheng and Song Ryu were going to be engaged. Therefore, when Qin Ran told them to hurry over and tell them that the Qin family planned to take over the Chong and system again, they were shocked. But when Qin Ran explained the reason, they immediately understood. So that was the reason. Chong Sini and Hao Mingyi did not feel emotional because it was not something they should worry about. What they needed to worry about was to be responsible for what the Qin family told them to do. At least to take over the Chong and system again was what they had been dreaming of. After all, they had been in the Chong and system for many years. They were the trusted senior members who had followed Qin Chong on to conquer the country. Of course, they would not be willing to give up the Chong and system so easily. Therefore, they immediately put down what they were doing and came over. After that, The members of the Qin family went to have lunch. Before they knew it, it was already past 1 o'clock. They were all starving. Even the food was cold, and the kitchen had just heated it up. However, as soon as they entered the restaurant, the bodyguard outside ran in and told them that someone was visiting the Qin family. The members of the Qin family could not help frowning. After Zhao Anji asked them who it was, they heard a familiar name. It turned out that it was the Li family, one of the major shareholders of the Chang system. It was understandable that the Yang family would visit the Qin family. After all, the two families had talked about it before. However, the Li family suddenly came without an invitation, which was somewhat unreasonable. The Li family had always been on Sixth Uncle's side and was his absolute ally. Why did they suddenly come to the Qin family? Everyone was confused. Was it a weasel paying a New Year's greeting to a chicken or some other reason? No one knew. Since they were already here, there was no reason to avoid them. Qin Sheng nodded and motioned for them to come in. As a result, the lunch of the Qin family continued to be postponed. Zhao Anji led, Qin Sheng and Qin ran to wait quietly for the distinguished guests of the Li family. Chapter 9:38. In fact, it had only been 4 or 5 hours since the Qin clan announced this news to the public. Two clans that had direct contact with the Qin clan had already come to visit them. First, it was the Yang clan, then the Li clan. This was really unexpected for the Qin clan. The Qin clan thought that they would definitely have some reaction, but they didn't expect it to be so fast. Perhaps even the Qin clan didn't think about what this news meant. The Qin family could understand the Yang family's visit. They had a good relationship. If Qin Chang'an hadn't been arrested, the cooperation between the Qin family and the Yang family would have been reached. Now that the Qin family situation had changed, it was understandable that the Yang family wanted to continue their relationship. However, the Qin family didn't understand the Li family's uninvited visit. So the Qin family really wanted to know what the Li family was planning. Zhao Anji did not wait for long before the distinguished guest of the Li family entered the villa. With a smile on her face, Zhao Anji walked up quickly to welcome him and said, "Oh, Lao Li, what a rare guest. What brings you here?" Qin Sheng's eyes lit up. The man called Old Li by Zhao Anji was called Li Fangyi. He was the current leader of the Li family. He was now the deputy director of a committee of the CPPCC. Although he had retired, he was in a department with real power. His power was not to be underestimated. In addition, the Li family's power was not small. The shareholding structure of the Chang and family was very complicated. None of these big families directly held shares. They all had a complicated relationship. In addition, the Chang and family was not a listed company and didn't need to disclose a lot of things. So it was difficult to find out who was behind the scenes. However, the people in charge naturally knew who the shareholders of the Chang and family were. No one needed to hide, because in the past, who came in and who went out was decided unanimously, unlike now, which had already broken down. So the Li family, who had always been low-key, didn't show up easily. Until they realized the crisis, they directly took action. Hence, today, the Li clan didn't send anyone else over. Instead, it was the leader of the Li clan who directly came to talk to the Qin clan. If they could come to an agreement, then they would come to an agreement. If they couldn't, then they wouldn't cause a commotion. If they showed the Qin clan the greatest sincerity, then they would naturally get what they wanted. If they still put on airs, then they would definitely be the ones to suffer in the end. Li Fangyi was in charge of the Li family's affairs in Chang, and he was in charge of everything in the Li family. Therefore, Li Fangyi couldn't escape the blame for what had happened today. That was why he wanted to make up for it. "Sister Zhao, long time no see. How have you been?" Li Fangyi replied politely. He was dressed more casually and looked like a retired old man. There was nothing special about him. Perhaps this was the characteristic of Sijio City. Zhao Anji chuckled and said, "You should be saying, 'How have I been?'" Li Fangyi smiled awkwardly and subconsciously looked at Qin Sheng and Qin Ran. They were Qin Chang'an's son and daughter. He was familiar with Qin Ran because he often came to the Qin family to drink. At that time, He wanted Qin Chang'an to marry Qin Ran into the Li family. However, Qin Ran didn't like his son and nephew. After the two families fell out, they basically didn't see each other anymore. As for Qin Sheng, Li Fangyi had only met him twice. There were the two board meetings of the Chang and family. Li Fangyi went directly to the two board meetings of the Chang and family and didn't let his agent attend. Li Fangyi knew that Qin Sheng was not easy to deal with, especially now that he had become the most famous young man in Suzhou City, because he married the daughter of the Song family. Uncle Li, Qin Ran and Qin Sheng said at the same time. Li Fangyi took the initiative to ease the atmosphere. Now that Dad is in trouble, we, as friends, should help you more. However, there were a lot of things at home recently. Please don't blame Uncle Li. If you need anything in the future, just call Uncle Li directly. After all, your dad and I have been friends for decades. Thank you, Uncle Li. Since Li Fangyi could say such shameless words, Qin Sheng and Qin Ran could not directly say that after their father's accident, it was their friends who hit them when they were down. However, they still smiled and replied, "Thank you, Uncle Li." They had exchanged greetings and talked about the old days. Zhao Anji asked directly, "Lao Li, I don't know what you, a busy man, have come to our Qin family today. If you haven't eaten, we don't mind adding a pair of chopsticks." Li Fangyi didn't stand on ceremony and said, "Sister Zhao, can I have a word with you? I have some words from the bottom of my heart to tell you." Li Fangyi was really shameless today. In front of sixth uncle and others, he had never said such words. Today, in front of these juniors, he didn't feel it was a big deal at all. Zhao Anji had to give him a thumbs up. "Then let's talk upstairs." Zhao Anji smiled and stretched out her hand. In a lounge upstairs, the Yang family's uncle and nephew had just taken away their teacups. Even the sofa was still warm. Now, the big boss of the Li family was sitting there. These big shots were really interesting. Qin Sheng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. It could only be said that in the face of reality and interests, they could change their minds at any time. After the Qin family's servant left, Li Fangyi held the teacup and carefully tasted it. Not bad. The authentic Dahong Pao from Wui Mountain. I knew there was good tea in Chang'an, but I don't know when I can drink it next time. I don't know what kind of good wine Uncle Li likes. I'll go to the old man's wine cellar later, Qin Sheng replied with a smile. It was still him and his aunt, Zhao Anji, who appeared. Qin Ran and the others waited downstairs. Li Fangyi said politely, "A gentleman doesn't take what others like. I'd better drink my ergo tea. It won't go to my head after drinking it." "Ha ha. Everyone has their own preferences," Qin Sheng said calmly. Zhao Anji was not so polite this time, because she didn't know why Li Fangyi came. After all, Li Fangyi had always stood on the opposite side of the Qin family. He was the sixth uncle's loyal ally. Why did he suddenly come uninvited? "Fangyi, now can you tell me why you came? Are you spying for sixth brother?" Zhao Anji snorted. Hearing this, Li Fangyi hurriedly explained, "Sister Zhao, you misunderstood me. How could I ask for information for him? I came here today just to have a good talk with you and clear up the previous misunderstandings. There are some misunderstandings between our families." After hearing this, Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng seemed to be a little confused and felt that something was wrong. "Really? Why is it impossible? You used to support sixth brother all the time. Our Qin family can't be what it is today because of you." Zhao Anji sneered. It had to be said that when Zhao Anji said these harsh words, she was really good at it. She absolutely did not give any face to anyone. Li Fangyi said helplessly, "Sister Zhao, I know you have some misunderstandings about me. I guessed it before coming here today. If you want to say that I have always supported Chang, and I have always supported Chang'an, it's just that some things happened some time ago that made me be deceived. That's why there are these misunderstandings." "Oh, you were deceived by someone? Who?" Zhao Anji asked without hesitation. Li Fangyi replied without any taboo, "Who else could it be? Our sixth brother. He is really a wolf with wild ambitions. No wonder he offended so many people in the past." What he said was very straightforward. He even dug out sixth uncle's background. It could be seen how sincere Li Fangyi was to reconcile with the Qin family today. Zhao Anji looked at Li Fangyi and said nothing. Of course, she would not believe him directly. who knew what his purpose was. Sister Zhao, even if I say these things, it's hard for you to believe it. But this is the truth. I will never lie to you. If I still support Sixth Brother, I won't come to you. If Sixth Brother knows this, he will hate me to death. But I have to draw a clear line with him now, or I'll be in cahoots with him. My purpose today is very simple. That is, in the future, the Li family will only support the Qin family unconditionally in the Chang and group. You see what they've done to the Chang and group without Chang. And so, I propose to hold a board meeting or a shareholders meeting immediately and let the Qin family regain control of the Chang and group. Li Fangyi didn't talk too much. This time, he directly cut the Gordian knot with a knife. Anyway, the Qin family wouldn't believe him for a while, so he could only make the Qin family believe him with practical actions. Zhao Anji was a little shocked. Did the Li family really break up with sixth uncle, so they directly reconcile with the Qin family? It was possible, but she dared not believe it easily. Uncle Li, how can we believe what you said? To put it bluntly, sixth uncle wants to kill the Qin family. Otherwise, he will not stop. You used to support sixth uncle. Don't you think that you are here for sixth uncle's conspiracy? Qin Sheng saw that the aunt did not say anything, so he directly laid out his cards to Li Fangyi. Li Fangyi laughed and said, Qin Sheng, I am not that kind of person. If I really want to fight with the Qin family, I prefer to be straightforward. Both sides compete with strength and ability. This kind of small trick is useless. Even if I come, what can I do? Uncle Li is right, but we can't be careless, Qin Sheng replied with a smile. Li Fangyi said bluntly, then let's make it simpler. I will support the Qin family with practical actions. If the Qin family needs money, I will provide it. If the Qin family needs people, I will provide people. As long as the Qin family is still in Chang, and the Li family will support the Qin family. The votes in the board meeting and the shareholders meeting will not be fake, right? Uncle Li, if that's the case, I kind of believe it, Qin Sheng said thoughtfully. Zhao Anji followed Qin Sheng's words and said, Fangyi, since you said so, it is useless for us to talk too much. The Qin family will remember what happened in the past. Whether it is a misunderstanding or not, it happened. But I don't know what will happen in the future. Let's meet directly at the board meeting or the shareholders meeting. What do you think? Li Fangyi heard this and said, Sister Zhao, you are so straightforward. See you then. Okay, we will ask to hold the board meeting or the shareholders meeting soon. You will receive the notice. See you then, Zhao Anji said affirmatively. After hearing this, Li Fangyi stood up and said goodbye happily. Sister Zhao, let's meet again when we are free. I will not disturb you. Therefore, Li Fangyi left the Qin family directly. He came and left in a hurry because he had achieved his goal. They were all big families who had been in Sijio City for many years. It was useless to say too much. The truth could be seen when things really happened. After seeing Li Fangyi off, Zhao Anji and Qin Sheng were still skeptical. Zhao Anji asked Qin Sheng subconsciously, Shenger, do you think it is credible? Qin Sheng smiled and said, Auntie, do I need to believe it? Because even if the Li family was gone, there was still the Yang family. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.